Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm. We're a Final Fantasy XIV podcast, and this week we are welcoming back a member of the community who has been absent for some time because, well, he had responsibilities. But he's back and with hell of a force at that. And yeah, we're going to talk about PvP while we're at it because we feel like we finally owe it to him to talk about PvP now that people actually like it. So he's tried to get us to talk about it beforehand, and it's never worked.
I forced the topic a couple of times.
It's as forced as he said. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Happy. Of course, joining me is Sly. How you doing, Sly?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yo, you hunting?
We hunting.
We hunting.
We hunting.
Yeah, that Chameleos breath yesterday was bullshit. I just want to put that out there. All right.
Are you still on that?
I was so mad. I was like, I'm going to Metsu Shorigeki. Oh, I guess I'm not going to Metsu Shorigeki this. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
Monster Hunter.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I played it.
That's fine. You've been busy, and you know what? You're busy for the next 2 hours, too, because our guest for the show today, as the namesake of the title would probably tell you, we got Frosty. Hey.
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 With a folding chair and a green screen in the back.
Oh man, yeah. I didn't feel like putting it up. I do. So this room, this one changes my life. So we got this house, and this belonged to someone's daughter before, and they have this cool little light thing that's up at the ceiling that I can change the color whenever I want.
Oh, that's
I don't know
what that is. I thought my eyes
Mikey
were
probably
bad.
not seeing anything. Yeah.
No, I can. Yeah, I mean, I can tell it's different. I don't know what the colors are, but it looked like somebody was like flashing a light.
Yeah. I got a whole controller for all the different colors and everything that I can do.
Wow, there's like 4 whole colors on that thing. If you ask me,
There's a lot more than 4 on there, man.
I only see 4 colors.
Oh, okay, fair.
It's good.
Yeah, no.
It's good to have you, Frosty.
Thanks, man. Thanks. It's been crazy over the last 5-6 months. It's been just a wild ride of learning how to be a parent and learning how to keep my job and do both of those at the same time. So I had to kind of step back a little bit. But I figured now's a good time to kind of get back and involved with everything. I honestly, almost right after the World Race, I only had a little bit of time after the World Race, Savage World Race, to really be too involved in things. And then afterwards, I kind of had to just put a break on it and say, hey, I at least owe my daughter, my firstborn, some dedicated time. And I couldn't do it without cutting something out. And so, unfortunately, I had to be doing streaming and MogTalk for a little while. But, yeah, now I'm finding a little bit of time here. And I had our first show last Saturday when you came on. And we had Rook and Arthas, and it just felt so good. It felt so good to talk to people. It did.
Not just talking to your child, like one day you'll talk back.
Yeah, and not coworkers, like actual people that I consider friends that I can have a good conversation and feel comfortable around, and just let all the stress go. And so, I don't know, man. It's been great, and now I'm trying to get into PvP and make sure I get caught up with everything because I do want to be super involved with it if I can. Because it was a passion before they came out with this new mode, and I wanted to see how this was all going to play out going forward. And I have done some research, and I have had some conversations, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to CC.
Not even just CC, the other aspects of the job changes and front lines, how that panned out as a result, and Rival Wings coming back, and what they announced today. So we have plenty of topics to get your thoughts on. You will be the focus of this show, as again the namesake of the title suggests. Until we get tired of you, and then we'll talk. We'll have somebody else talk. Okay. Before we go on any further, though, quick sponsor shout out. Shout out to Steelseries. They've been sponsoring the show, my channel, the podcast for years now. There is a giveaway for the month of July. If you're watching live on Twitch, please go to the YouTube video from last week, or go to the YouTube video when this comes out and enter. It's free stuff. Why not, right? Or just buy something. Just buy the 12% discount code because they're the sponsor and they'd love it if you did that. And then I'd love it if you did that because it's cool. All right. So thanks to them for sponsoring. Also, our members over on Patreon for supporting. Thank you to them. They don't get anything special out of it. They just do it because they want to. and we appreciate them. So,
And we love you.
yeah, and we love you. So shout out to our sponsors. And with that, the Frosty Show begins.
Yeah.
You know how I can tell you were really ready to say everything you said before I got to my sponsor readout? That was what you just said was going to be the first thing I said. I was going to be like, why don't you catch everybody up on what you've been up to?
I'm so sorry. I just go, man. It feels natural. Like I do this all the time, and I apologize for it.
We have this. I wouldn't call it an issue every time where we go on each other's podcast and we're always in podcast mode, no matter what, if we're guests or hosts or whatnot. Like we're always in that mode.
Yeah.
You can never let it go. You can never turn it off, I don't think.
I just love talking to people and having conversations, man. That's really it. That's why I do a podcast where I bring on tons of people and talk to them. But yeah, no. So I'm doing great. Things are going pretty well. MogTalk's great. We've got a whole nother world race coming up soon that hopefully I can at least be somewhat involved with. Liffy and the team did a really good job in Ultimate without me being really too involved. And that was a scary situation for me because that was the first time that, in a long time at least, the world race has happened and I haven't been super ingrained in what was going on. And it was pretty awesome to see that play out, and I feel a sense of relief, right? Because I normally think, man, if I'm not there, it's just not going to happen. It's just going to fall apart. Like it's just going to be a miserable situation. But man, I have confidence in other people to do stuff. It's weird. I do a podcast by myself. I don't have any trusted people, man.
You're guessing your trusted
freak in
people.
You?
Yeah.
Is it the control freak in you?
Yeah.
Like you just add to. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had people let me down before, right? And
Haven't we all?
Yeah. So I do have that control freak in me in some way. But yeah, that's coming up soon. And then there's all this it's amazing how much PvP stuff is going on right now. I mean, it was there before, but there's a lot of just general interest and activity and positivity around it that wasn't there. And so that was corrected. There's other things to talk about that might not be so positive, but in the general scope of, hey, let's bring people in and let them get used to a mode and fight each other and have something that we could present to people. We have a PvP mode you could play. It's there. I don't know about Frontlines. From my understanding, Frontlines is it's there.
It exists. Disaster is what it is.
I mean, I don't think it's in a situation. It almost feels like CC took the place in popularity of Frontlines, and Frontlines took the popularity of what was.
No, it was all unpopular. Frosty, don't even try to convince yourself.
Okay. All right.
It was all unpopular. It wasn't Rival Wings levels of unpopular.
Okay.
Thanks to the roulette, but
Man, they have tried some stuff, dude. Square Enix has tried a lot of PvP stuff.
They just want it to work at some point, man.
I mean, they have started from when they were doing the fold back in the day, right? They had the fold where you just go in there, you die once, and you're dead.
Yeah, they saw how WoW did arenas, and they're like, yeah, just do that.
And then they're like, nah, let's have some fun and create this new mode with Feast. And that worked out okay, but then they're like, oh, there's too many abilities. It's all confusing. We can't balance it, I guess, the way that we'd want to. Let's limit it down and make it into this new version of Feasting. And that's gone on for a while. And now they start this crystalline conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is going pretty well. Then we go to the battlegrounds, the Frontlines area. What did they start off with first? What was
Secure?
Was it Secure? Yeah.
Secure, Slaughter, Seize, then Shatter, then Rival Wings.
Mm-hmm.
And they got rid of Slaughter pretty quick.
Yeah. Man. And then they did what's the one that was in Shadowbringers? Something starts with O. I can't remember.
Onsol.
Yeah.
Onsol Hakir.
Onsol, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is Seize, but worse.
I don't know. Would you really say it's worse?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
they're pulling from different MMOs. Like they wanted to do a MOBA type thing, so that's what Rival Wings became. Now they're doing kind of a secure to payload, which is now what CC is. Which seems to be hitting off better, at least, or living a little bit longer than Rival Wings. I think they just spread themselves out a little bit too much with all the different modes. They need to just say, hey, here's one mode, we'll do this. Here's one big mode, here's one small mode, and be done. And they're kind of doing that a little bit, right, with the rotation and the weeklies. What do you say? No?
I don't think it's a good idea to only have one of each. I think for arenas, yeah, only one mode. We don't need Feast and Conflict and Fold. We don't need all those. But only having one big mode, I think, is not a good idea. I mean, for me, it's like they just don't want to do what we already know works for PvP from like decades of PvP in games. They just want to be them because they don't want people to feel pressured in casual PvP. So
I mean, that is true. I mean, I would say they should perfect one and then grow from there.
Yeah, they should definitely do that.
That's and I think that's kind of what they're doing with CC right now, right? They've eliminated pretty much everything from being a viable option, and CC's the thing that they're focusing on. And then they're going to start expanding in the front lines, I guess, and everything afterwards to try to figure out how to make that work. But one big mode that they perfect, they're like, okay, then start growing and adding on the modes and make sure that they're in good situations and then they're healthy modes. And then move forward from there. But yeah, I've had a couple of conversations with some high level PvPers that have been going through the experience with CC, and while like the most of the the player base thinks it's really good and everything, a high level, high end competitive opinion is a little bit more negative than it was for the Feast. I don't know if you guys have heard that a lot.
I've only just heard that they hate solo queue. That's the only thing I've heard, and that all the tournaments are a lot of fun. All the unofficial ones, and even the official EU one coming up are great, but that they hate solo queue.
Well, the thing is I think that usually is where it ends. It's fun, right? It doesn't it's not the competitive nature there is it's very hard to feel like you're actually doing something and you're in control of these matches because you can put so much damage. You pick a person, you could do way more damage than you would ever be able to mitigate on one person, right? So there's no way, and you feel like you have no control. You're like, okay, well, they decided I was going to die, so I'm dead. And there's just nothing you could do. In Feast, you felt like you had a little bit more control, and it was on the player to stay alive. It was really on the players to try to keep themselves alive, especially with the ways they did potions. And of course, there's all these little factors of how the abilities activate and everything, and feeling the response time is not quick enough and all that great stuff. And that's never going to go away. That's just fine. I don't think they
listen. They fixed jump after all this time. I'm confident they can fix guard of all things.
Okay. Yeah, guard.
Hey, though.
Sly, shut up. You don't remember 2.0 a Realm Reborn Dragoon well enough. They fixed jump. Okay, just because Dragonfire is still kind of not all the way there. You're better than you were. Okay.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you guys this question. As previous PvP haters, now PvP at least enjoyers, what would you say are the big reasons that you're currently happy with the mode?
Sly? What? I know he said my name, but you go first.
I mean, it's really easy to pick up. It's quick. Like you're not stuck in there for God knows how long, as opposed to front lines where you just wish it would end. That's sarcastic.
It's very accurate.
I mean, it's real. I want to say balance. I can't 100% say that. I'll give you 90% balance. Mm-hmm. I'll give you 90% balance. It is well balanced. There could be a few tweaks and things that nature, but it is well balanced, I'd say. It's again accessible. one thing when like Frontlines came out, whenever they had a new PvP mode, Feast was accessible for a little while and then kind of wasn't, and just Frontlines is just Frontlines. Honestly, all I care was like, what the fuck is this? And then you have Crystalline Conflict, which again is accessible so much to the point where, you know, you forget there's a crystal sometimes.
No, we don't. Everyone else on the team does.
Everyone else does. Yeah, like I call it, like in the early days, I call it conflict, crystal not included. But you know, that's for
the early days. It's been like 13 weeks.
I'm just saying.
We're still in the front of this, right?
Yeah. But again, it's fun. I wouldn't call it like mindless fun. There is a bit of strategy to it, but it is fun. And you know, that's what I think. Happy, what are your verbiages?
I think they've nailed it outside of the reward structure. Pretty much across the board. Even the jobs that we all recognize are more powerful than the rest of them. You can play those jobs. You can not play those jobs. Honestly, it's going to just come down to who collectively has the better team, which kind of sucks for solo queue. But I think in terms of providing what is a well-balanced team experience, that's always going to be for the better. Now, I do think that you hit the nail on the head with the no counterplay, and I think that's a result of having 5 players instead of 4, like the Feast did. That extra player is an extra layer of CC, an extra layer of damage that is hard to account for. And I think they probably need to balance around that a little bit more so that there isn't as much 100-0ing that feels completely unavoidable. The Feast strength, and I will say that it had one, was that it became a lot more about chipping at a resource and then one-shotting somebody through consistent pressure and proper defensive play. And that leads to a better engagement at the high level. So I think once they nail that last little bit down and they kind of give you that level of experience as opposed to the 100-0, it'll feel better at the high levels. But then at the low levels, you'll still feel like you don't have a whole lot of control over the match. Then it becomes the opposite problem, which was... let's be honest, a problem with the Feast is everyone feeling like they couldn't swing the match themselves. It's going to be a problem no matter what in the team mode. But
do you feel like you have any control if you're going to win or lose the match?
As a white mage, absolutely.
Okay.
If I land a 5-person,
yes.
if I land a 5-person LB or I polymorph somebody when they're low on health so they can't actually respond to whatever they're supposed to be able to do. I definitely feel in control. That's why I've been playing White Mage to climb, because it's the most in control. Black Mage, I also would definitely feel like I'm in control. I have taken a Black Mage. In fact, when they just reset the season, there's a Black Mage who was climbing to Crystal, and I got him in my match like 3 times in a row, and I said, that guy lives, we win the match, and that was exactly what happened. He just solo carried the whole match as long as I shielded him, healed him, and peeled off of him. And he was Crystal so fast. It was like 7 a.m. He was like Crystal by like 8:30 in the morning. From Diamond 5. It was just on a pure streak. Oh, man.
So you would say there's at least 2 jobs where you feel like you can control and make the match win.
There's more, but I feel like the other ones, you're probably a little... Yeah.
Dependent on the team.
Yeah, a little bit more. Like Samurai, sure, you could swing a match with a 4 or 5 person Zentetsuken, but you're never guaranteed that in a match. Ninja, you could snowball a whole team fight over with
like Stars.
Yeah.
Dragoon Stars would have that line for shit to happen. You could get a 5. You could get a 5 kill Sky High if you wanted to. Like, just Stars would have the line for it. There's so many other jobs that could do quite a lot, but there's a bunch of team play surrounding it. So it's more, you know, is your team there with you? Are they doing what they need to do? So yeah, you're probably gonna be fine.
In the matches I've played so far, it kind of and I'm just so you know, I've been trying to put all my focus into Paladin, of course. and playing these matches, it kind of felt like a lot of it was a little mindless, and more of me going in there and just trying my best. And if I get caught in a situation where they're starting to focus on me, trying to figure out how to bait that and make that play in my favor, and then like shielding people, and sometimes shielding helps, other times it just kills me immediately because the damage is so high. If they decide to target the person you're shielding, your reduction isn't going to do much. It's rough. And so I do feel like I did a couple of moves with a couple of limit breaks that did save the match, right? I did a couple of moves in the overall match that maybe I had some agency. I don't know. Maybe I was part of the reason, but it still feels a little bit goofy sometimes. And that could be because I'm still doing the solo queue stuff and I haven't gotten really hard into the team matches. But I have watched some team matches and I have tried to understand what they're doing meta-wise, and it doesn't even feel like there's a meta comp. I mean, there's maybe some jobs that people will pick, like Monk seems to be like one of the really big ones that people pick, and White Mage, right? But it doesn't feel like there's a solid setup that's like, this 5 is really strong. People just kind of play what they want to. Am I wrong on that?
No, I'd say that's right, and that's healthy. That's how it should be, in my opinion. Because
except for always having a monk, right?
I don't always have a monk. I do agree that monk is absolutely the job fantasy doesn't match what monk actually does in PvP, and it's so strong because it's an assassin more than anything else, which is weird considering that we have Ninja, who's an actual assassin. So yeah, it's crazy. Man, talking about it gets me so pumped.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm curious how long it's going to take, because there is a perfect setup, right? There is hey, here's the strategies for the match. This is the best way to win. But I don't feel like that's even been close to being nailed down yet.
No. And that's because they've done a lot of rapid balancing in the first several months of it. Like Black Mage went from being almost never picked to 100% picked to being nerfed and still being like a 70% pick rate in solo queue and stuff. So Black Mage really threw a big, huge wrench in everything people had thought they figured out. Then Astro lost a huge amount of their AoE CC just this last patch, and they've been up and down about Warrior. They nerfed it, then they buffed it. White Mage was strong, they nerfed it, still strong. There's all these little elements that are at play, and they've been really quick to try to provide a better experience. And I think it's been largely successful, even with the little bits and pieces here or there that definitely feel like they could still be looked at. But I don't think PvP is ever going to be. You're never going to have that patch where you go, nah, we don't need to do anything, That just doesn't happen in PvP. It just doesn't.
There's lots of stuff for them to work on. And I do want to be clear. I do think it's awesome that people can make their own personal comps, and there is not one perfect. There's going to be like, this is what this comp can achieve. This is the strength of these 5 being put together. How do we counter those 5? We make the comp like this, kind of in some mold or fashion to counter that comp, and kind of going back and forth. And that's just going to be something that naturally evolves. It's not going to be just random. Oh, we could just random whatever 5 and then we'll beat exactly the same. That's just not logically how it's going to work. There's going to be strengths in some setups versus others. And I am curious to see how that pans out. And I don't know if it's going to be. Do you think that the roles are going to have a big play in it? Like, you're going to have one healer, you're going to have one tank, or anything of that nature? No?
No.
That's pretty interesting.
I'm fairly confident they've got the way it works now is the way it will continue to work, and I think they've got it nailed. I don't think there's a reason to try to force certain things like they did with the feast. I understood why they did it with the feast, and the job design kind of dictated that it had to be that way. This genuinely feels like they honestly shouldn't even have colors next to some of the jobs roles, like
Really?
like Gunbreaker. Gunbreaker is basically a DPS if you want to be effective on it. Warrior, monkey flip in and go to town, I suppose. And then you've got Sage, which is pretty much all DPS, massive burst damage on top of it. So I think the big thing that lets that happen is the job fantasies in PvP are really well fleshed out. You genuinely feel like you're playing a different job. You don't look at another job. Oh, this is my version of that. Like we do in PvE. So that's impressive what they managed to do with so few abilities.
Yeah. And sorry if I sound completely ignorant with what I'm saying. It makes absolutely no sense.
That's fine. It makes for a better comment section always.
Good. It's like I'm trying to make sure that I completely get a grasp on it, because I'm coming from, again, for the people who don't know, I've played Feast almost since it was out, and I've done top 100 in Feast multiple times. And so I'm very used to that mode. I've done shoutcasting and events and everything for Feast. This new mode, I am getting in and just getting my feet wet. So I'm trying to understand that transition from going from Feast and how PvP was going into the new mode, and how I guess that it makes sense for the game in general, and what that is going to look like in the future too. Because I mean, this is something maybe Final Fantasy XIV will try to be a little bit more serious and have events, official events for PvP. I mean, we already have the EU event that was announced, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is actually on the 21st and 22nd, and it is co-streamable, by the way.
Yeah, and that's amazing.
Hey.
And we had some of that with Feast as well. I'm just hoping that we have this and it grows, right? It goes in an incline versus what we had before. And I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I'm still really on the fence with the new mode. I'm going to be honest. I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun. I just can't see it being super serious just yet, and that might just be because not everybody has completely figured it out. I feel like they sort of have it, but it's not at a high competitive level yet. Am I wrong?
Sly, you seem like you have something you want to say.
I think it seems like, in comparison to Feast, in the early days of Feast, like when it was really burgeoning, I don't think we got this level of competitiveness with Feast. Like it
got competitive, but it was a small amount of players, right?
Yeah, it was very small, and it took a while for it to get there. Whereas with Crystalline Conflict, it was just like that. People were organizing tournaments like off the gate. Like once everything was really situated, and once everybody understood stuff, and like balance happened, people were organizing tournaments, things like that, like just like that.
Well, to be fair, that's because there was established PvP members from Feast that carry that on, and they made that platform existed, and they knew CC was coming, and they made it before Feast. It didn't exist, so it kind of CC kind of has a springboard off of all the work from the community.
It has a springboard, but you kind of have to give credit where credit's due. Like if CC wasn't that good, were they going to actually be doing this? Would they still? Like
they did it for Feast, so it's kind of a tough. That answer I feel like is not obvious.
I mean that's fair, but even still, like would you still go through the motions and create content for this outside of official channels?
Oh, sorry, you mean Feast or CC?
CC.
I missed CC. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely, people. I mean, we've already had the Preach's tournament, right? Preach had a tournament. Plus has been doing his tournaments. We have official tournaments going on. People are grabbing onto it. I mean, to be fair, we had who was it? Gosh, why can't I remember his name? He's so popular. That came over and did a lot of PvP and Feast for a while. Summit 1G.
I forgot,
right?
Summit did Feast. I forgot that.
He did a lot of it, and that gave a lot of energy for the mode, and people got into it, and they liked it. I mean, the mode, the people who played it and the people who got into it liked it. But I will agree, when you're watching it, it makes absolutely no sense. You're like, they died, but they're winning, and it wasn't as easy to put all that together. Of course, CC is going to be a lot easier for the viewer to see, oh, well, they're winning because they're further ahead. It makes sense. And I get that part from a viewership level. And I think that's absolutely the right call to make it to where it's a little bit better for the viewer. And it's a little bit better than just a bright yellow map, too. Or blue map, or blue, crystal, golden. Yeah.
That was one of my least favorite things, was that they took away all the other maps, and they were like, here's just a bunch of different layouts for the same map.
It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
CC is giving you a few different maps, and they're pretty interesting. You got your basic one, and then you have which I guess your basic one's, it feels like a sporting event. Like you have like a track to run on and everything.
Sports.
Like
it literally looks like a Charlene sports track.
Yeah. Then they have the tornado one, which I think is your favorite one, right? Happy.
I think it's the funniest one.
It's so ridiculous. Just randomly jumping into, being launched into the air. It's such a great feeling. Anyways, then there's a lava one, which is amazing to like get people out of position and get them blown up. And I feel like these kind of things they should be there. This is fun stuff. There's competitive elements that you can add into it with positioning and everything else. I haven't seen as much. I guess there is some level of positioning when you're doing the payload stuff, but it's not nearly what it was in Feast. Feast was really hardcore on your positioning and where you are in movement and everything. I don't think CC's there yet. It's more of at least try to get most of the team in a position to where the crystal keeps moving, but not everybody gets blown up by AoE, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or it's clear out the team and then push the crystal.
Yeah.
Which is what happens at the start of the match most of the time. They're like, all right, crystals, I don't care. Just kill the team. We'll come back. We'll come back for it. So I guess I was gonna start there, but we've jumped all around.
I'm so sorry. Please go with your topics, and I'll respond to your topics.
Well, you don't know what the topic. That's what makes State of the Realm such a chaotic show, because I don't give you a script, and then I let you talk, and then I just move points along.
Yeah.
That way you don't feel pressured to stay on topic. You can just be free spirit.
Easiest show to do, Frosty. Because half the show is just you. We don't even have to write shit. We don't even have the script for the show. It's just you.
He doesn't get to talk on his own show, Sly, so he has to talk here.
It's true. I think last Saturday I had at least a 40-minute period where I said nothing.
That's the raid section.
Yep. That was pretty interesting. But please, Spike, I'll let you do your thing.
No, it's been good, but that was going to be the first point that I wanted to touch upon. So Crystalline Conflict, obviously it's the new mode, it's the mode you're least familiar with, and you've been trying to get familiar with it since having some free time available. Now, the mode itself, as you've called it, is a payload mode. It's more like a tug of war or a push of war style payload mode, where it's like there's not one team defending and one team on offense, and it swaps. It's just push it along until it gets to the end. Splatoon has a mode just like it, actually. This is obviously another detraction from what I think is the most basic arena experience that people expected. The Fold was essentially the, one KO, that member is out of the fight. And people know that from WoW. Again, it's just decades of experience at this point, sends you to that, or at least was the original expectation. Then they moved into this whole metal thing with the Feast, with heavy metal and, just having too few metals and deaths dropping half. Okay. And it was okay, but it suffered from, as you mentioned earlier, a viewership issue, where understanding how a team was winning or what their actual performance was in the moment. Super swingy. Last 20 seconds, get that kill, swings the whole match right in that 1 second. And everything you did up to that point feels like it was moot. And as a viewer, that's very confusing. And as a player, I have to imagine it's a little disheartening in those particular cases.
Can I add one situation as an example to what you just said?
Oh, I would love to hear this.
So when we were in LA and we were over at the SE office and we were doing the casting for the Feast Regional Championship for NA, something like that happened right on screen, where we had the underdog team that was not expected to win. It's funny. You guys know Angelus for a completely different thing right now, but he was in that match, and he was facing the underdog team, and they were doing good. It was like 550 medals to like 250 medals, which you get 600 medals, you win. Just for people who don't know. And then the other team managed to get a kill within the last minute, which snowballed into another kill, and they got enough points, and they just ran, and they won that match. And this was a 0, I think it was a best of 3, and it was a 1, like the other team already had a win. If they would have won, they would have completely closed the match. But as soon as they got that win, they got really excited, and they completely smashed the other team. And it was so much fun to commentate on, but I have to imagine the level of frustration from the team and a level of frustration from the viewers for like some people died. It got turned around. Everyone sounds really hyped, but I don't know why the other team lost, but they did. And that was, I think, the general response to it, which sucked. Because there's just no way to get the community to, I don't know, fully understand what's going on with those medals. It sucks because it was so simple. It's such a simple concept, but it was just abnormal to the PvP scene in general of the whole of all video games, right? But yeah, like you were saying, it's not a great viewer experience. And I think that's the main reason. Even though there's a big event, went to FanFest, everything else, it still didn't gain extra traction afterwards.
And that's where I was going to go with it is, so the new mode... No, I mean, you get in there. You understand what I'm putting down. The new mode is something that's kind of instantly identifiable. It might take you a second to figure out the UI elements. For example, the bar at the top, which team it actually belongs to. It's a minor bit, but you see someone pushing a crystal forward, and I think at this point, even if you don't like Overwatch, most people either play Team Fortress 2 or have seen or know of Overwatch, and they understand how it works at a glance. Do you prefer that kind of experience, the viewers can instantly identify it experience, versus 100%. Something that is more like the feast? Because you're very passionate about what we had before versus what we have now.
So I haven't been able to dive fully into it, and Feast had years of developing strategy and thoughts and best practices and everything else. That was a lot of fun to really work with, and you could get up to speed pretty quickly. A lot of people got into Feast that when they wanted to get into Feast, they figured it out, and there's just so much to talk about when it came to it. I mean, overall, when you get to the really high level, again, there are some things that seem kind of frustrating for the players because it feels like they have it figured out. Right now, CC's not figured out. In my opinion, it is not figured out in the least. There's people who have like a good idea about what they should be doing, but we are not in the in-game meta yet. The real in-game. Again, you've actually commentated on some matches, Mike, so you might have some opinion against that, seeing how some of those players play, but I feel like there's just so much to grow. I like it because I know if someone's watching it, they can at least understand why we're getting excited about, hey, some people are dead. Now it's moving in the favor of the other team. You can see it visually moving on a bar. You can see it kind of going across. You can see it on the screen, the little crystal moving. Everyone's excited about the crystal moving. And you can bring in the viewers with that. And I feel like that's going to be a lot of fun to commentate on. But then again, I would love to know your experience so far. I don't know. I know you did at least a handful of matches. Happy. How much commentary have you done so far?
I did about 4 weeks, and I did most of those weeks was 2 best of 5s, and then I did the semifinals and the finals, I think, for the Wolves League. And over the weeks, we genuinely did see a pretty consistent evolution of strategies and job choices. The beginning weeks seemed to start at what worked best in solo queue or ideas of things that would work in a competitive scene. And obviously that's going to be different. There are some jobs that are just going to be better in organized team play than they are in solo queue. That's true of any PvP game ever. Hero-based, champion-based, or job-based. It doesn't matter. The early weeks started with more solo queue-esque picks. You have, your white mages and you have your warriors, monkey flipping in. And then the evolution shifts into this denial phase where it was about mass AoE CC and protecting valuable teammates. We saw Paladin surge to popularity with cover, being able to pop your potion in the middle of the team as the person who's covered. So you could be completely out of resources, not have to step out of the fight, and just get right back in. And you just don't see that. We weren't seeing that in solo queue until after. Honestly, after I saw it in Wolves League, I started seeing it in solo queue a little bit more when people were getting covered by Paladins in high-level play. And then people started figuring out the counter to that, in that a Paladin's taking double the damage if they're being hit, so we can deny them out of it. And then you started seeing more Dark Knights coming out because it was a little bit safer and you could still protect a teammate with it without completely sacrificing your life, not to mention the denial of death and the delay of matches with the ultimate. So we just kept seeing week to week, people kept finding counters to things and then counters to the counters and counters to the counters and counters to the counters until the last week started to almost look like the first week, where people had kind of reverted back to the things that were working there or had worked for them the whole time, and less of this sort of constant shift of jobs and people trying to be like, okay, try dancer, try machinist this one, or swap this person to white mage and that person onto scholar, and it was constant. Somewhere in there, I do agree, is something someone would like to have every time. A balance of all of those things. There are 5 jobs that are just going to be ideal. But it's always going to come down to that your play in the moment dictating how well the outcome is versus the job that you picked. Job that you picked, an element, but I don't think the sole element. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just because of the map rotation and just moment-to-moment decision-making is the big difference.
Yeah. That is good to hear. I'm glad that there is some sort of like evolution that's actually happening there. But you do agree that it is still evolving. It's not like at a point of like, hey, it's over. That they have figured out.
No.
That whole 5-week experience should have been an example of evolving, because it was also the first competitive scene any of those players had actually played in for Crystalline Conflict. They all had to learn it. Now, what I think is going to be a lot more prevalent in Crystalline Conflict is that the solo queue meta will be different from what people play in competitive. Feast, I saw similarities always between the two. When I'd watch competitive matches versus the solo queue matches, like you said, it was figured out. There was just something people wanted to play more than anything else. And that hurt the mode, in my opinion, a lot. Because if you weren't playing those jobs, or even if you were, it made queues worse if you were trying to play them. And if you weren't trying to play them, your win rate went down. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I know this because if you play PvP, at least Feast in the past, when you played it a lot, you would be in a PvP Discord, and you just wait for that one to show up on Discord after a match every single time. That says, hey, you got a new ping. Somebody saying, hey, why are you playing warrior? You're throwing. Why are you doing this? You're throwing, right? And so that was such a huge thing that I don't want to see with this new mode. But I think with the 5th extra person, there's enough chaos that's going on in solo queue that there's no way you can pin any of the stuff on like one person. I mean, you can look at the scoreboards and you can say, oh, well, this guy didn't do enough damage.
Man,
or this guy
I can tell you can definitely nail it down.
Oh, can you?
There is a rare occurrence where you can pin it on one person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there are quite a few.
My first Black Mage match, pin it on me.
Oh, okay.
Compared to the other Black Mage, I was like, yeah, there is a difference here between the person who doesn't remember where burst is on their hotbar versus the person who knows where it is.
Like when I play, I know I suck, right? I know when I'm sucking. But can you tell when other people are sucking pretty easy? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can tell. You can see when the warrior monkey flips in and never gets out alive because they never get to their guard in time, or they keep doing it. They never like change the way they do it.
Like, I don't know what you've experienced thus far in CC, Frosty, but those first few seconds when the match starts and like the crystal hasn't even unlocked yet and people are just, jostling around for position, you will have that one idiot who will Leroy Jenkins in like he's about to do something and then forget guard. And then just like everything snowballs after that. He gets Wu-Tang, they go after the next person, and then the next person, and then the next person, and then it's pretty much a full team wipe, and they're halfway done. They're halfway to winning. So, it can definitely snowball. There's one person you can definitely pin it on, especially in the early stages of the match.
Okay. It seems most of my matches seem like complete chaos, but that could be just because of me getting introduced to the mode and everything.
Yeah. No, that's definitely the case. That I'd say even in the best of matches, there's some degree of chaos. That one match you get where it feels like your team's completely in control. It's about identifying if it's because your team is better or because their team was unga bunging. And another great example I see is Monk's super popular. And again, it was a massive pick in the Wolves League. Once people started realizing it was essentially a guaranteed 1v1, it was a guaranteed, one kill. Yeah, every single time. But even that evolution, eventually the Monk was always guaranteed to die also. That's what ended up happening in the final weeks, is the monk was the sacrifice to get an important person off so you could win the 4v4 after. In solo queue, you know when that's not working, when the monk goes to do that and the monk is the only one who dies. If they get the kill, that means they probably knew what they were doing. They might have snuck around. They might have found someone who was out of position. Or they had a paladin on the team to cover them when they went in so they were uninterruptible. There's all those little tiny bits and pieces there that really do add up to a very strong competitive sense that you will never see in solo queue. You will never see it. Solo queue will always be flavor of the month forever.
Okay. I do want to bring this up because we did talk about this a little bit before the show, but
yeah,
the whole fact of like when you get a reward, it's only for that tier.
Ugh.
Do you know how long we've had PvP and Feast where it's always been a scenario of, well, I got to get gold this season for the rewards. I have to get silver this season, and we have to get plat or diamond this season. Like, I've been diamond, but I'm only going to have the diamond rewards for that stuff, right? Unless if I want to kill my rank. Now, it took how long before they fixed that simple issue in CC? It's been complained about for years, but now they're like, yeah, CC, let's fix this simple thing that's been complained about forever. Feel a little offended, to be honest.
I'm mildly upset also, only because I opted into saying, I'm not going to grind Crystal Rank week 1 of Season 2 because I'm going to collect the Diamond border and the title, and now they're fixing it, but now the queues aren't very good when I normally play because people were like, if I'm not going to get it, then I'll either deliberately derank or I'll get to Crystal and then, move on. And now I'm like, I might be in Platinum next season without a choice. Evening queues are good, but I stream 7 a.m., so not a great time to PvP when it's not everybody trying to go nuts in the mode.
Unless you're on EU, right?
Yeah, I guess if I can't go visit the EU servers, I can only go visit the other NA ones. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean that just goes to show you how much more they're trying. I wonder how much of that particular element is because they just didn't care in Feast versus.
That's what it feels like.
It does feel that way because it felt that way a lot, especially from season like 14 onward. I'd say that's like the middle of Shadowbringers until Endwalker, because I think at that point they knew they were probably doing Crystalline. You know what I mean? Like they probably knew they were going to do the new mode, so like all of their attention was kind of diverted into, the development of the next one. And I don't want to see that happen again. But it feels that way, at the very least, in retrospect. And with this, I feel like they're all in. They're like, this has to finally be PvP working in this game.
So, no, go ahead.
And I was going to say, and that's what it needs.
Yeah, that's what it needs. There are some things that have carried over that still need to be worked out, like we talked about over the weekend. There has to be some control over, the players' concerns and their trust in that these are fair matches, right? There has to be some sort of level of that. And I think they're making some changes to help with that. They probably can't fix every single one, but they can at least start to smooth that over. And they've never had they do. They are saying they have a higher level of moderation now. I don't know if anyone has been banned, but I haven't been told.
I know a few who have been.
Okay.
Not personally, I know of the people who have been banned.
Okay. As long as they keep that up and they can keep the players' trust that when you go into a match, you can feel it is as fair as you can believe it's fair, then people will keep playing. You're always going to have the people who die and they're like, you're cheating. There's no way I could have lost. Yeah. That's never gonna go away.
It's like that friend who like thinks they're hot shit in Smash Brothers, and then you pick like Jigglypuff and they're like, idiot, and then you beat their ass and they're just like, what? That's cheating. Then they pick Jigglypuff next time, but they get their ass kicked and they just can't figure it out. You were cheating.
Yeah.
What's this wave dashing thing? This is bullshit. That's not supposed to be able to do that.
Yeah. Beast had a lot of struggle with that because there were some. It wasn't as bad as people made it out to be, but there were a few really bad apples that just never got plucked and thrown away. and they were always there. I hope that they can keep up with that here in this mode. If they can, then it's going to be great. And they keep it being serious. Maybe we'll have another fan fest and we'll have a CC tournament at the fan fest.
Oh, I mean, I just want to get another fan fest first. Let's start with that. Let's get another in-person fan fest first, and then we'll talk about a PvP. I feel confident they would. I'd be shocked if we didn't have a Crystalline Conflict tournament. Even if it's digital, I honestly would expect a Crystalline Conflict tournament.
Yeah, maybe I can see that. It's just so rough to do these kind of events. Well, I guess they did part of the FRC was remote at first, so they could probably do it.
Like the preliminaries and everything, and to get to okay. Yeah. So you mentioned the players' trust. There is another major topic that definitely needs to be checked, but it falls in line with issues that they've otherwise turned a blind eye to in the rest of the game. And that is the use of third-party tools.
Yeah.
And they are not few and far between in solo queue. That is not the occasional person using them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It becomes abundantly clear to you if you've played a lot and you see the behavior of some high-ranking players. You can tell immediately when someone has an auto polymorph when this condition is met, or auto silence or auto you can tell the auto targets under very specific conditions and instantly popping an ability the movement is so immaculate. 14's targeting is not that good.
No, that's sad. Yeah, they have to get a control over that too, because I mean that's part of the big complaints people had about Feast in the past. It was like, oh, it's just people just cheating constantly.
Something like this though specifically a part of Feast, the auto targeting and the auto
there was a couple of people that they've done some really gross, egregious things with tools, and they would I don't know if this is true. This might not be true. Maybe it is. But there was one who said that they could see countdowns. Like they were able to use programs that would allow them to see the other team's countdowns.
I believe that.
I think there's a way to make that kind of stuff happen.
That's weird.
But there's some really just kind of gross stuff. People are really smart. They can get some really nasty script stuff out there. And it's, from my understanding, you just need a number 1 on a target in CC, right? You don't need a countdown.
Well, in the low ranks, you regularly see the number 1. The problem is people try to change the number 1 based on what logically makes sense to do, and then it throws everyone off. So the countdown, so it becomes more like a setting a priority and then counting down in the higher ranks. Honestly, a lot of people just forego the counting down and they just like, okay, we know, like, kind of situational awareness is better than it was. At least that's how I feel.
Well, back to the script thing. It does, like in chat they were mentioning here too, like the LB, the interrupt scripts that people had was really gross. Because there are some LBs that they're quick. They were really quick. Like those melee LBs happen like almost immediately. But for some reason, some people were always able to stop them every single time. It was always a silence that could happen. And it was so gross to see that kind of stuff going on. And you can't prove it. You can't really do much unless if you catch them doing something that's super obvious. But even then, it's a lot of work. It's documentation. It's like you feel like you're witch hunting almost at a certain point.
You have to. I mean, it's the only way to prove it. You have to pull up logs and like consistently like try to wait to use limit breaks and like stand in specific. Like you have to. It's like you're trying to. I don't know if you've ever been a part of this. Have you ever had to document somebody who's like you're getting ready to fire them?
Yeah, I have.
You know how it's like you just need to like compile like exact like it's like that because you can't because they won't investigate it because it's they have a policy against it.
Yeah, and that's the part that sucks, man. If it becomes more exhausting to like try to be a positive force and stop that stuff, than it is fun to play the mode and just hope that one day that it'll get better. It's just going to have the same effect that Feast had. Because you can't get people taking the ladder seriously in those cases. Now with community events, they're a little bit better about it, right? Because you can oversee and self-moderate. So that's pretty cool. But with the ladder and stuff, you can't really do that. There are some good people who they do it, and they do it in a way that you would never be able to fully say that isn't skill. But at least it's up to the player discretion to be able to. It's a people's opinion, right?
Right.
They can literally say, "This is my tournament. It looks pretty damn obvious you're cheating. I don't have to prove it. It's just everything is there pointing to that. Yeah, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to come to this tournament." I don't think they can do that as much with official stuff. So.
Yeah.
It sucks, but it's just. We just don't want it.
We don't want it. And they can. There's a lot of stuff that they have to do. I think again, this always comes down to like the I guess the thing with culture and video game making and everything, where a lot of Square Enix stuff is like, please don't do it, and that's their big way of trying to prevent these things from happening.
It's never worked.
And I mean, it might work. It might work in different regions, but it doesn't. It doesn't work in NA. I don't believe it works in EU. Because we don't. I don't want to say we, because I don't want to feel like I'm at least involved with the type of people who do that stuff. But they're going to do it. They're just going to do it because they don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't know. So you guys, so you're saying right now when you play, you always think there's a 50-50 chance that someone's going to be like cheesing or doing something incorrect, or
I'd
doing
say
something
10 to 20%.
malicious.
10 to 20%
Yeah.
chance. There's 10 people on a match. I'd say
50.
Yeah. How high do you slide? Do you think it is?
I was saying it's not 50. I would agree with you, like 10, at the very most 30%.
Yeah, if you get really unlucky. The thing is, certain jobs do it more, and since you can only have one of a job on each team, it kind of limits it in that degree. White Mage is probably the most egregious one. It's already one of the most picked jobs that people picked up to climb. And it has an unpreventable CC in the form of the polymorph, or an uncleansable one in the form of the polymorph, that it becomes like a catalyst for those kind of tools. You know, when you have no way of there's literally no way built into the game to counter it other than to not be out of position or to just not be able to be killed in that time. It's, of course, that's going to be the first thing somebody goes to look to script, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll see how it pans out. You definitely can't do that stuff on stage, but you know
that would be
definitely
impressive.
Yeah.
I would be impressed with them if they pulled that off.
Yeah.
Just let me. I'm just gonna leave this USB plugged in. It's got all my UI and everything on it, right?
What's that? What is that extra glowing thing on your screen?
Somebody downloads the fucking thing on the. Yeah, can you just give me like 15 minutes? I gotta do something real quick.
Yeah.
That would be something.
Well, go ahead.
No,
I was just go to your next topic. I don't want to go ahead and take over your next topic.
No, I don't want to do
it.
Maybe it is my next topic. I don't know.
Well, I mean, seeing what the current state is, right? Seeing how CC is, how the community is responding to it. We have a lot of people with interest in it. They're making events for it and everything else. There's obvious things that need to be fixed. But just use your imagination over the next year or so. I mean, how do we see this mode evolving? Do we see like major changes coming in, or is it going to be kind of stagnant and just little balance changes, like potency changes here and there?
Well, I would like more often than not, you're going to see more balance changes throughout the months. Things will definitely swing throughout the year with individual jobs and whatnot. How can it evolve more? More maps.
Is that really it? Just more maps?
I mean, it's not that simple, but
I think it is that simple, actually.
Where else is it going to go? Like, you have these 3 maps, and people are going to eventually get tired of it. So, what are you going to want? Logically, more maps. Like more maps with, different effects, of course. And then maybe keep one neutral map but have a different look or layout, I guess. Really, I mean, that's as base as you can possibly get. Just simple balance changes, more maps. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And
do you think?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I keep thinking about limit break because we haven't really talked about that too much. Do you think they're going to make some changes to how the limit breaks work? I know a lot of them are just kind of defining the big thing these different jobs do.
Some. I would say some. The way certain ones work, sure. Like Sky High.
Sly, it's a good limit break. Stop fucking complaining.
You were saying we should go down in invulnerability.
I said that's all I would give you if you are so desperate for a change.
No. No, you were saying like we should like the invincibility.
Oh no, I said when you go up, it should get rid of your debuff so you can't die in the air. That's what I said.
Okay. And like being targetable too, that would, that would help. Is there so many times you get sniped right as you're going up by like a random fucking ninja or just a monk who would just like the exact second you go up, they take you out of the air. They just yank you out of the air and kill you, which is weird. But yeah, like certain LBs do need a tune up. Like really, like I said, that's it. It's if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, I mean, how do you feel about the timing of the LBs, right? And how they work with when you get the LB?
I can't believe white mages is still as frequent as it is, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's one of the main complaints I would have is just white mage just gets it so fucking often, like it's just able to blast it. It changes games. It definitely swings games in its favor when you have a white mage.
Mm-hmm. It feels kind of weird. I mean, you're coming from a situation to where the LB bar was constantly filling all the time, and you knew set parts and feast, right? You always at the 3-minute mark you would get it, unless if you got a box early or something like that. Here, if you die, well, put a pause on it, and then you just have to delay. And so if you have a long LB, it just takes that much longer to actually get it filled up all the way and be useful in the match. Because it feels like if you don't have your LB, I mean, you're useful, you could do things, but the LBs are what swing the game. Right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
You can make or break a game with a lot of the LBs.
Yeah, and so it just feels weird how they're doing the timing of it. And how do you feel like your def should stop your LB?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I think that you need something discernible to throw off the flow of the match, and staggering the LBs through like it just being a benefit to you actually managing to get a kill in that time. Because if you don't push the crystal at all, at the very least, you've just thrown off the limit break. And sometimes that becomes a strategical advantage. It can push a limit break back that you would maybe have popped just because you thought it was a good time to maybe line up with somebody else's LB naturally, which is not something that you should rely on. Obviously, the game shouldn't be the one doing that. You should be the one deciding when the limit break goes off and not just pressing the button because it's shiny. But I think that for the way that people tend to play, it ends up sometimes being more of a boon than a bad thing.
Okay. You don't think the 4v5 situation is enough of a boon?
Again, a lot of the times you see that one person go out and then somebody on the other team follows and it becomes a 4v4. If your team can capitalize on the aggression and actually pick someone off, there are clear paths that are not just you're now down a person. If you're down a person with no sort of rebuttal, it means you screwed up anyway. And it honestly means you probably need that limit break to be something more defensive, which by then, odds are the extra time it would have taken to charge it. I will say this, the amount of time it takes to have a 10-second respawn, then the screen goes black, then you slowly animate getting up. That, on the other hand, that
hurt a lot. They are really painful. And I think that's good to try to make you want to stay alive. But then again, you only have so much ability to stay alive, right? If the team is coordinated and they want you to die, you're just going to die. They just have to pick which person on their team feels like that. If this person dies, we're going to be that much more ahead. So you strategically figure out who you need to knock out, which is kind of cool. You have to have a job understanding. You have to see how the different counters work and everything. But man, yeah, I don't know how I feel. You're out of the game for pretty much 20 seconds
plus runtime.
I mean, overall, yeah, with the black screen
I think
running
it's
back,
longer than that.
I think 30 seconds?
I think it's 20 seconds without runtime to get back to the fight.
Okay. Yeah, no.
That's a lot of time.
And for matches that can end in, like, what, 2 minutes? A minute?
They can, but they very rarely do. They almost all go to overtime.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's so much of the cool thing about this mode is there's so much they can tweak, right? There's so many different things they can do to it to make it a better or worse mode. Hopefully better.
Yeah, don't do what you do with Feast where you just start taking things away to try to fix problems. Because I don't think that worked in the grand scheme of things. They're like, you're saying bad things. Your words are gone.
The only thing that worked was taking Feast away.
Yeah, that's it. That was the last thing they took away from the Feast was the whole mode, and I think that was the best result.
It sucks. You know, I will say that I did hear comments that a lot of really veteran Feast players retired at this point. They're like, they are not interested in pursuing the new mode or anything because they just feel like they don't have as much control. And they go and play Mahjong now. That's their...
You definitely have control of that.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I feel...
It's so true.
I do feel like we are going to have a good handful of people who are used to the old way. I mean, that's the same thing that happened when Feast went from 3.x to 4.x. And before that happened as well, where a lot of people who are really into those modes, it's just too much change and they don't want to keep going with it. But I do feel like there's going to be enough new faces with this, no matter what, that is going to make the mode expand, even if we have a lot of the really veteran hardcore PvPers stop playing.
Hey, hardcore raiders stop playing all the time. New one steps in.
Do they?
Yeah.
I don't know. They say that, then they always come back.
Yeah, but they don't hardcore raid. When they do come back, most of the time.
Don't hardcore raid. I'm not racing. I'm not world racing. Guys, I'm just doing everything in my effort to clear it as fast as possible. That's a whole nother show.
That's me with that's me with PvP. Is like I'm just gonna be on white mage when I get to crystal as fast as possible.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to prove a point by doing it on A job or B job or C. Nope, just give me flavor.
You don't have interest in being rank 1?
No, I don't. It's strictly because there are so many things I want to do with my time, and I respect the fact that. I don't have that same level of dedication as people who do have rank 1. I don't want to have that level of dedication to be rank 1. I want to be in the higher ranks where the more competitive matches are for the sake of a better gameplay experience. So when I do PvP, it's level, and there's no upward trajectory after that's expected. If I were to climb, if I were to get top 101 from just playing and winning, great. But I just want to play it because it's fun. That's it.
That's good. And I mean, that's kind of the same. I literally have no choice. That's my way of life right now. Is that I will never go towards anything to try to be the top anymore. I just can't. I don't have the time. I don't have the. I would say I have the ability, but maybe I don't have the ability anymore to really put that kind of dedication to get things. I can have fun and I can talk about it. That's where I hope I excel, right? Is that I can at least talk about it and have fun spectating. And that's, of course, why I've been doing what I've been doing with Final Fantasy XIV for so long, right?
Yeah, you don't world race. You just watch people world race.
I have never cleared an Ultimate. Never. I look at Ultimate and I'm like, literally not something I feel like I want to put my time into. It is so cool. It is so awesome. It's amazing. But I can't put the time into it. I could do Savage. Savage, no problem. But like Ultimate, man, I don't know how I don't know how people put those hundreds and hundreds of hours into it.
Yeah, nowadays you'd have to give up having your child if you wanted.
Yeah,
to.
I would have to give my child away.
Yeah, specifically you.
Oh, jeez. Sly, I haven't really caught up too much with your. We're going completely off.
No, this is fine. Go. I think you're going in the right direction.
No, I was going to ask you about your experience with Ultimate and your opinion on Ultimate too, Sly.
Same as yours.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure I wasn't completely alone.
It's really the same as yours, but at the same time, it's two things. It's more of a time constraint, and I want to do it with people I trust. And
you don't trust anybody, so I mean, I guess
that's the thing. There you go.
yeah.
There you fucking go. You just said it.
Yeah, and so in this situation, this will be the same thing with Crystal Conflict, right? Or Crystalline Conflict.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, and I want to be in it, and I want to play it, and I want to learn more about it, and I want it to grow. But I do want to watch it, and I do want to talk about it. I don't want to be rank 1, and that's how I've always treated Feast too. Even though, I was getting I think the highest I got, and this was maybe I didn't even deserve it. I don't know. It feels weird to be in the top 50 for a season or so.
Deserve it.
Just maybe I got lucky, because that is how solo queue works in every shape and regard. If you get the coin flip enough times where the matches are in your favor, okay, well, you're gonna rank up. That's just how it is. And so, but getting 1 is a lot of dedication, and getting into top 10, pretty good dedication to it, making that stuff happen. But yeah, I hope that I can learn a lot going forward in the next handful of weeks, and feel pretty confident. I do feel pretty confident. Actually, you know what? The time that I spent with it, I feel like I got a pretty decent grasp on it, even though I might not be Mr. Happy level with PvP. I love PvP.
I didn't rank top 100. I didn't even try.
Okay.
I got to 900 points, and then I lost 10 matches in a row, and I was like, yeah, I think I know I'm not getting the top 100.
I just got the crystal. That's it. That's just all I did.
It feels weird. I'm going to be honest. This feels completely reverse of the last PvP shows we've had. And it feels
where you don't know jack shit, and we know.
I feel like I know
everything.
Yeah, you guys know. You guys know more than I do. I'll be 100% honest. Right now, you guys know more than I do.
Right now, not forever.
No, absolutely not. I've already had plenty of conversations, and I've done a lot of exploring and the meta and trying to figure out how what it's going to look like going forward. But I don't feel like I haven't had a full season of playing it yet. So
that's fine. I can guarantee I know some of the thoughts you'll have by the time you're done with a whole season.
Okay.
It'll be guards too slow, purifies too slow, recuperates too slow.
That's literally Final Fantasy 14 PvP. that's an old opinion that has been there forever, man.
Yeah, but it'll be refreshed.
Okay.
Your opinion will be refreshed. Trust me, because that's probably issue number 1 that actually needs to be addressed more than anything job specific, more than anything gameplay limit break. It's that. And when that's fixed, a lot of things improve.
They have to come out with another Final Fantasy to fix that, man.
No, they can fix this one. We've seen it with other abilities. It can be fixed.
I feel like they could, but then third-party tools can take advantage of the solutions they put in place, which I think they did do that previously, didn't they?
I don't know.
They made stuff happen way too early. Yeah. Because it's doing server-side versus client-side and all that great stuff. But, man... It's the server tick, right? And you press it, and you're like, last time it happened when I pressed it at this time in this situation, it worked great. Now it doesn't. Well, welcome.
I'll one-up you even one above that. Machinist has cast times on their abilities, and the only way to cancel them is to, I think, spam escape. So if you're in the middle of a cast, if you're in the middle of that short cast, and you need to guard, you're like, fuck! Not only is the cast, but also the server tick. Machine is still really good despite that, but it hurts.
Yeah. Man, it's okay, though. I'm so used to it. That's not a reason.
That doesn't make it okay, Frosty. That's what we call Stockholm.
I'm 100% Stockholm.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I think we all are at some level.
No, my Stockholm has to wait a few seasons. Then it's Stockholm. Yours is long running. It's Stockholm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you cancel the guard because you're spamming because you're trying to go guard go, and then you fucking cancel it.
That's hard. I love seeing guard pop up and disappear immediately on people. It's just.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, like there's abilities that remove guard, so it's not like even a sure solution. You're just
there's Monk.
Right. There's Monk.
There's Monk. There's Reaper. I think Dancer might get rid of guard too.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Machinist, which goes through guard. Warrior completely removes guard. Can't press guard. Yeah, there's a few. It
doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't. It's you better run. You better get your ass out of there.
Yeah. I did hear, and tell me if this is true or not, that we still have a handful of abilities that don't describe what the ability does. Like it's incorrect completely.
Machinist, they bug fixed that, I think, because Machinist had an issue where the ability told you what it did, but the percentage was said that there's two different percentages displayed on two different skills, and I think they fixed that.
Did you mean like early Purif?
Dark Knight, Soul Survivor. This is one example that was given to me. It says when you get a kill with it, you get your HP restored to maximum and restore 20% MP, but it only heals you for 20% HP instead.
Oh, so it sounds like it's another text, like another typo.
Yeah, just like the text.
Yeah.
Like just some of the stuff just got completely missed.
There's been a lot of that across all of the game, not just PvP.
Okay.
We had a bug in the Omega quest line where the quest NPC name was wrong, and there's been quite a few more typos in Endwalker than previous expansion launches. So
that's sad.
It's been a bit of a meme, so I'm not too surprised.
Okay. So it's just happening everywhere. Whoever's doing the QA for tooltips needs to. I don't want to say fire, right? More of just have a stern conversation with them. Work on their ways that they can improve, and we can build them up together within the company.
That's a very different thing from fire. That's like the opposite of fire.
Yeah, we can. It's bad to just fire people. You always want to try to like make them
a stern conversation.
A good yes, you have a stern conversation. Make sure it's serious. You know, and then if they don't realize that the stern conversation had meaning behind it, then make it a little sterner. Don't invite them to the pizza parties.
Hold on. If there's pizza on the line, you got to be real careful about this. All right.
Sorry, I have a lot of management stuff that I've been dealing with recently. Which why is you triggered me a little bit earlier.
Frosty really is dad now.
Wow.
Dad. Now he's Daddy TV, not Frosty TV.
Do you need to vent a little bit more?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Sure? It has been really rough just in the last 2 days, and before that, for the last 2 weeks. The AC being out of my house has been horrid. But this is not podcast talk. We don't got to talk about it.
I mean, it's quite literally podcast talk. It's just not about Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I bet you every podcast that doesn't talk about anything in particular is talking about. Dude, you're like, I know like 7 people whose ACs have broken like in the last like month.
Yes.
And they don't have the part.
Sly!
No, mine.
Your whole power went out. Yeah, your whole.
Yeah, my power was out for like a day. Like a whole last day. So
many people
I'm
I
so
know.
sorry.
AC. Like Todd's went out, Kiri's went out, yours went out.
Yeah.
I have people in my chat randomly telling me their AC's not working, and I'm just like,
it was one of the worst 2 weeks that I've been through in a while. It just mostly because of my daughter. Anything else, it would have been fine, but my daughter being in there is rough. But. Well, I mean, my heat and trying to make sure my daughter doesn't overheat.
That was
the
what I'm saying.
part.
Her in the heat. Yeah.
It was rough. But anyways, that's also the thing that made me delay my return to doing a lot of Final Fantasy 14 stuff.
Yeah, MogTalk.
I'm a little bit more behind today than I want to be. Yeah, I had to push a whole week. But I am getting into it now. AC's running and everything's going fine. I'm happy.
Don't do it.
He did it on purpose. It's not as funny. I gotta get him when he doesn't. He just uses it in a sentence.
Yeah, I'm small brain. I don't have enough words to I don't have a thesaurus in front of me saying all the different ways of saying happy. I try sometimes. I start to think
Joyful.
of different ways.
Content.
Joyful,
Content.
content. Yeah,
Filled with glee.
ecstatic.
Ecstatic.
Yeah,
There you go.
things like that. And then I'll, but I don't remember it. I just resort to the easiest, stupidest word I can, which of course is happy.
Don't worry. One day we're gonna greatly expand your vernacular.
One day, get one of those word a day calendars.
That's what Wordle's for. They just use it to learn words.
I still haven't played that.
Neither have I. Not a single fucking time. There's so many dulls now. I've played. I one single time did the Final Fantasy 14 music version where it plays like a second of a song and you have to figure out what the song is. I was like, this doesn't hit the same. This doesn't hit right. I can do this in my fucking sleep.
Going back to PvP, I do want to ask this. All right.
Just going back to it. Yeah.
Let's go back. Let's course correct here. People are watching this. Oh, fucking Wordle. But no. PvP. Is there something, you guys know my experience with PvP and everything else. Is there something with the new mode and kind of what you've been going through, and that there's an element or a concept or anything about the new mode that you're like, man, I wonder what Frosty thinks about this? Any of those things that have come up? You don't think about me that much?
Sly? Well, I know what my answer is. I'm just making Sly go first.
Different buffs based on the map.
Different buffs based on the map.
Yeah.
The chocobo feathers and the fireballs.
The fire pellets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think those are great. It makes you have to add in that extra element to your gameplay and think, all right, well, what jobs, I mean, I don't know if we're at that point, but what jobs would work better on what maps, depending on the different buffs.
Oh, trust me, that's already happening.
Okay.
I fucking hate playing some jobs on Volcanic Heart because of all the line of sight. Anything with an instant ability, I much prefer on Volcanic Heart.
And that would mean that players, if they really get into the high level meta of all this stuff, is that they would have a job that they wouldn't want to play on every single map, right?
We saw job changes based on map sometimes in Wolves League.
Yeah.
Just refusal to play some things because of the line of sight. And because of the way some things interact. One thing I've done on Machinist that endlessly upsets me because I know not to do it, but I still fucking do it because I'm just trying to be as reactive as possible. In the wind map in Cloud9, there is an interaction with your Machinist ultimate and the knock up into the air that basically cancels it out. If you try to Machinist LB someone as they're falling back down, they become in range while they're in the air, but they're invincible in the air. So you end up ulting them, and they're just the invulnerable text pops up. So you have to wait till they fully touch the ground before you do it, which gives them a chance to respond and heal up.
There's some other weirdness with the tornadoes too.
They break guard.
That too. But when you get knocked up in the air like that knock up wind, if you time it right, the exact frame you land, and you as a goon you LB, you stay on the ground, but you're still in LB animation. So all you need to do is just push a button, and the second part of your LB hits where you're actually landing, but you're already on the ground. So people get confused, they get confused as fuck when they see you on the ground. They don't think you're an LB, but you just press a button and then everything explodes around you.
Here's something funny that happened to a Dragoon. So the game's not programmed to do this, but this worked for some reason. I have a clip of it. In the Cloud9 map, there are these ruins on each side. And they're just there for show. They create line of sight, and they force you to use the pathways to go around. I watched a Dragoon do a weapon skill, and somehow their hitbox during the weapon skill was off the ground, and they jumped at the same time, and they went through the window of the ruin, and they were trapped there the rest of the game. They couldn't get out.
Okay, maybe they should fix that. I was going to ask.
I reported it. They might have fixed it, because I remember I reported it and submitted the clip.
Because I was going to ask, little things like that, do you feel like these are good things to keep in the game?
Not
just
that.
so you... little things that you would know, and just you would have an advantage because you know that these situations make this happen?
No, I think Machinists will be whiffing on that. I think that sucks. That's me just trying to beat the punch and just losing the limit break. Yeah.
Right? You know that's going to happen, so you could respond to that and play a little bit differently.
The respond to that is to wait a goddamn second.
Yeah.
But it just shouldn't let you do it in the first place. And what's even weirder is in other cases like Dragoon's Sky High, if he were to go up as soon as I press my limit break, I could kill him in the air. But in this particular case, I can't kill him. I can't kill them in the air. With this
That's an advantage, map advantage. There you go.
That's not an advantage.
Tiny
There's
map.
no advantage or disadvantage there. It's just if you're trying to kill them, knowing exactly when the server has determined they're on the ground is not a consistent experience either.
Okay.
Because they could technically be registered on the ground before they hit the ground, but you don't know that they're on the ground just yet because of the data transfer that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm trying not to do this thing. It's essentially making me less useful on this map because I can't abuse it like that.
Okay. I mean, like, I don't know. I really mean, like, the knowledge of that's an advantage. And playing around it in some way. But either way. There's little goofy things that I feel like is actually fun to have within games.
Do you think the random one-shot from Machinists is a goofy, fun thing?
Yeah. Play Machinists on that map. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Chainsaw. Chainsaw has, if you buff it, it's got, I think, a 4% chance of instant killing any target it hits.
Okay, so no, you're right. That's pretty shitty.
That's pretty shitty. It's so I literally just yell at the screen and be like, "Kill him!" Oh, it didn't work. Didn't get it. Okay.
No, that's complete. Like there shouldn't be like. I hate percent chance stuff, right? Like gambling and hoping that you press a button and the button works the way that you want it to. I hate that. That's not fun at all. That's why I think a lot of people hated Astro back in the day too, right? I don't know, man. Okay. He gave me one. Sly gave me one. I'm happy. You said you had one.
Repeat the question.
Was there anything in your experience playing throughout the mode and everything else that you're like, hey, this could be interesting, and I would be interested to hear what Frosty thinks about this?
It was limit breaks.
It was limit breaks? Okay.
Yeah, because obviously the way they worked in the Feast and the way they work here is pretty vastly different. It's the core identity of pretty much everything you are in PvP. And so, limit breaks was what I knew. The only other thing I would have said was everything. So... Okay, literally every single thing. That's why we're doing a show, Frosty. I wasn't like, I only want to ask him one question, but I guess I got to invite him on the show to do that, huh?
Yeah. I do think the limit breaks, it's really cool that they all have their unique flavor and they do their own thing, but I don't know how long that's going to last. I feel like there's going to be some level of homogenization that will happen just like it does everywhere else when they try to balance stuff. I
don't think so this time.
Really? You think they're just going to let it fly and be like, well, some jobs are going to be better than other jobs?
I think Yoshi P has played enough PvP in other games to accept the fact that it's a constant balance job. And PvE is the same way. Like, even as homogenized as PvE is, people have to make mountains out of molehills when they're displeased with something or there's a performance gap of any capacity. Great example. Tanks, all pretty close, within 3% of each other. But if you ask anyone, Paladin is god-awful and shouldn't be played. You know.
I'm glad I'm playing it.
Yeah, but you're used to that, you know. You've slept in that bed since Heavensward. You knew your mistake.
There was a time Paladin was really, really strong, and
that was 2.0. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and then we went into the whole clearing A12S with Paladin was like a great experience, and I'm so fortunate I had a static that supported me in that.
Supported you in your choice to play Paladin.
Yeah, they weren't like. Because it was definitely not the easy choice, right? But it was fun. I enjoyed doing it because I enjoyed using their kit and figuring out how I could make it work. I mean, and that's probably the same that a lot of people feel with PvP right now, is they have their job that they want to play and they want to see how they can make it work. Even if it's not the strongest one, they want to see how they can take advantage of the different moves, abilities, and the interactions they have with that job. So
Now,
I don't know. Go ahead.
one thing that Square Enix, well, I'll say the dev team specifically, seems to struggle with, and a topic that is very much on my attention today, is the reward structure. So, first, Frosty, let's go with the easy one to talk about. Series, not season. Series, which is the Battle Pass-like thing that you have that has rewards at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, plus the trophy crystals. There are some people who are vehemently against this kind of system, no matter how it's done. Mm-hmm. So where are you on that spectrum?
The way that they did rewards, I do feel like is better overall. I feel like there's stuff that they could do for the people who are getting top rank to feel a little bit more special in general. But I do feel like the way they did it gave people like something they could progress towards and not feel like they're constantly losing track. From my understanding, and again, I haven't. Always correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If I'm wrong,
don't worry, I will.
Yeah, chat's going to correct me at some point, I'm sure, but you guys can correct me too. All right. You don't really lose rank, right? You go up stars, down stars, everything else, but you can just keep playing and not feel like the stress of having to fall down really hard when you lose a lot.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good thing. I guess it makes people more encouraged to play and less afraid of playing. I don't know.
But back in the day when we were talking about when we were in the heyday of Feast, we were talking about what was it? Rank degradation. That was something that Feast desperately needed. CC has it to an extent. If you're a lazy shit and don't do something for a season. Yeah, like again, season series, it's the dumbest fucking thing. If you don't do anything for a season, you go down a complete rank.
5 risers specifically.
So
you could go down 2 ranks technically. If you were in gold 4 and you dropped, you would go all the way down to bronze.
Yeah. So yeah, let me ask you, Frosty, do you feel like that's enough, or do you feel like the degradation should be more severe or lighter? What do you think?
I don't know. I'm used to being diamond and being able to go all the way down to gold if you lose hard enough. And you feel pretty bad afterwards, but at the same time, you're losing the people in those ratings. It's you have a whole conversation about whether that's true or not, because of people playing at certain times when certain people are playing, and those people are stronger and those people are easier, and depending on when you played, time of day, you rank better, all that great stuff. But in general, like you'd go down and you felt kind of afraid of losing because you would always have to climb back up. It was a little bit different with Feast because until Diamond, you didn't lose as much as you won. Like if you lost in, let's say, Bronze, right? You lose 5 points. If you won, you gain 25 points. If you lost in Platinum, 20 points, you gain 25 if you win. And that was kind of their way of making it a little bit smoother until you hit Diamond. Here, you do the star system going up and down. I don't know. It kind of feels like no matter what, you kind of go up or down, but once you hit that rank, you're just locked in, and you just keep trying to go up, and you try to like... I'm sorry if I'm not explaining it right, but it feels...
No, you're explaining it correctly.
It feels weird, but it doesn't feel bad, if that makes any sense. It doesn't feel horrible. Like, I'm fine with it. I don't feel like it's horrible one way or the other.
I think there's only a single downside, and it is actually in Crystal. And I'll admit to being somewhat of a contributor to this downside. When you hit Crystal, for a lot of people, myself included, that is the end goal. I don't want to get top 100. I don't care if I get top 100 or number 1. I'm there because I wanted to climb. I made it to the rank I wanted to, and now I can just PvP for the sake of PvPing without there being any stress with decent quality matches. when you have that security, you may try jobs you're not really crystal skilled at because you know you won't go down in rank. Sly.
Why don't you go to
because
casual?
Because you will fucking obliterate everybody and learn nothing. I tried that. I went into casual on Monk. Sly, I was beating on a white mage. I had none of my burst tools, so they had plenty of time to save me. 2 team members resurrected, ran past me to the crystal, and sat there while I waited for everything to come off cooldown, and beat the white mage that didn't polymorph me once, or even try to do anything other than recuperate or cure 2. I learned nothing, and I would not recommend that experience again unless you really like beating on people who are genuinely playing the casual mode to have a casual match.
So...
Dodgeball scene from Billy Madison. Yes, that's it. Now you guys are in big, big trouble.
I mean, we could throw in a concept where you have your rank is altered depending on the job that you play. I don't mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't sound fun, at least, to be a crystal player, then start as paladin, then you go to black mage, and then you start at the bottom. That doesn't sound fun. But I do think maybe -2 ranks or something like that on your job if you change to another job, and then you could build that up. And then once you get the crystal, you stay crystal there. And then you're always going to be 2 ranks lower on a job you've never played before until you build it up. That sounds too crazy?
No, it doesn't sound crazy at all, but I thought of logistically what would happen if they did that, or what they could do, and what I would not want them to do, is then make titles for every job, and then you get a different achievement for every single job, for every single
But that would be...
That
Is
would
that
be
a bad
so
thing?
stressful.
That's so much more extra PvP activity.
I'm so scared.
But it would make it a little bit smoother, I think, because you have experience, but you're not like bottom level experience. It'll let you kind of go into the fray with people learning a new job and not completely be a detriment to your team until you learned it.
Yeah, I mean for me that's the only downside of the way that you can't downrank out of Crystal. I will say this: the reverse effect of that is when you do get into Crystal, somebody just might stop because now they're actually at risk. Unless you add proper degradation over time.
I mean, and that's what happened, right? Yeah. And so a lot of people, if they felt they were confident they'd get into the top 100 and get whatever that seasonal amount is or whatever it was, they would just stop. There's no reason to keep playing. We did have people back in the day rainbowing, playing every single job possible. And they would suck at some jobs, but they wanted to learn and play it. But they're playing with diamond players when that was the top rank, right? And you're a platinum player, and you're just completely throwing the matches and the balance of the matches and everything off, and it was so painful.
You just made me think of one of the main reasons why I don't like that that's possible, and it has very little to do with the fact that your quality of your matches go down in Crystal. It has everything to do with when you queue into that match on that job that you really don't know how to PvP on, but you're trying to learn it, and you see someone who's in Diamond 1 on your team, and you're like, oh no, is this their last match? Is this supposed to be the match that gets them to Crystal? And now you're thinking, this was the worst match. I wish I didn't do this. I don't want to. I don't want to be the one that ruins this person's promotion. This could be their last rising star to get to their riser to Crystal. Then you get a Diamond 5 player like they're at the bottom anyway. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Complete opposites.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some work they could do on it. I mean, that's a minor complaint in the grand scheme of like the mode itself, though, I think.
Test.
A lab. What fighting game community would call as a lab.
I was gonna say like a test. A test like Q or like something.
That's casual. You just go into casual.
Tell that to fighting game people. They lab shit all the time. Hitting the dummy is not the same as labbing.
He just said he went into casual, and it's just like beating up on kids.
That's okay. Like, it's casual. I mean, you're not going to learn anything.
Hold on.
Yeah,
it's okay to beat
mechanics,
up on. Right? I'm going to go to the local playground and just start punching kids in the face because it's casual.
You know what? You know what?
What are you gonna learn from it? Like you're really not gonna learn anything from it. You're not.
I'm not. I'm trying to learn this new boxing technique, but these kids aren't putting up a challenge. I need a different playground.
Yeah. I mean, you get some level of education, right? You get your fingers kind of familiar with a few different things, and like you get used to the job in some regard. Then you go in back to ranked, and then you screw all those people over for a little bit, but
a little bit
until you get used to it, right?
For about a 30-minute window or however long the map window lasts.
Yeah.
Bonnie's saying that Tekken works exactly like you just said with your recommendation with your main rank raising the rank of all your other characters, but all the characters having their own rank.
Hey, I have genius that other people have already thought of. Yeah, my genius thoughts here are already being used somewhere. So we're good. Thank you for wearing your shirt, by the way, Happy. Yeah. The one little tiny logo over there. You can barely read. That's such a bad
I told you I wanted to wear it on Saturday, but I wore it today instead.
Oh, jeez.
My MogTalk shirt. I told you this story when someone saw the shirt and said, "Oh, I really like your shirt." And I was like, "Oh, do you know what MogTalk is?" They said, "No, I just like Moogles."
You know, did I tell you the time I wore Ethicist shirt over to, I think it was a Costco or something I was checking out? I was like, "Oh, is that a Pokemon?" It looked like it's like, I like Pokemon.
I love Pokemon.
It does logo look like a Pokemon for some reason. I don't know why.
I just love the idea of me asking if they knew who you were, and they're just like, no.
No, of course not. I don't know who this person is. I'm not at that point in life. People barely know who I am.
I know who you are.
You know who I am, which is great, and I appreciate it. But no, it's so weird. It's so weird getting back into everything now. Do you feel like Final Fantasy overall is in a lull in some way, or is it still like huge and going really strong? Because it feels super strong right now.
I think it's stronger than some of us think it is because a lot of us have very narrowed interests. And we also had a lot of time in Shadowbringers to tackle maybe long-term goals that we had put off for a really long time because of the pandemic. I know I'm feeling that. Like, I don't have my ocean fishing to think about, like, oh, I'll do that one day. No. Triple Triad caught all the way up with that. I did every Shadowbringers relic. Like, I had all this extra time because of how Shadowbringers played out. That Endwalker, that usual like start of the expansion, you know, this is all you have because we're trying to like make sure people have time to get into it and take their time with the story and learn the raid. You know, that almost it feels harder for someone who's a long-term player, but in the overall strength of the game, I feel has gone up even through the bumps with things like the housing debacle and, you know, Ultimate being as torturous as this one has been in particular and raid groups breaking and everything. Like, yeah, Sly's shaking his head because he knows I want to do DSR support group for the people who like have been clearing more recently. Just so just because now they have free time, but they spent way more time getting to their free time, so it's even more confusing.
Well, I mean, PvP in general has always been a good filler between a lot of different content patches. Do you feel like CC is going to be able to do that the way that Feast wasn't able to?
I think it depends on the reward structure, which was, you know, where we even got to this particular part of the topic, because the series I think is a great idea. We totally didn't finish that part of the conversation. I'm sorry, I completely forgot and derailed. I got us back. Good. It's fine. And so. The series, I think, was a good idea. I think it's more confusing than it needs to be because of the naming convention. People seem to not understand that a series ending and a season ending are not the same thing. You know how many people asked me like the week before season 1 ended, said, "Yo, I only have a week left to get the Archfiend armor," and I'm like, "That's not. No, you have another 2 months to get the Archfiend armor. It's not until 6.2. The season is ending. The series is not ending until 6.2." I'm going to have to make a video about that every fucking season. I'm just going to have to take the same video and like re-upload it every single time because this keeps happening. It's going to happen until they change the goddamn name from series to anything that isn't series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't know. What would they call it?
I don't know. Not something that shares an alliteration aspect with season.
Yeah, I have to think on that sub-season. Okay.
Campaign. There you go. That's what we said on Saturday, right? Campaign.
Okay. Campaign works. We can go with that.
I like that reward structure specifically. I like it when it's done in the right way. We'll see if it works long term. There's the worry about fear of missing out, of course, of when it's gone. We know the 6.1 rewards will be purchasable in 6.2 with trophy crystals if you miss the series. It's after that point where I have to see how they handle it. Trophy crystals also, I think they may have gone a little overboard with how many things you can buy with trophy crystals right out the gate, including removing the previous the kind of timed gate of the previous seasonal rewards where you would earn a certain number of tokens per season based on your end ranking, and then you would buy armor pieces with it over time. Now it's just trophy crystals, so you can just buy everything you want right away. And I think a little bit of time investment to get to some rewards would go a long way with long-term interest in PvP. And then the seasonal rewards, so for anyone who missed it, I had a major complaint that if you placed in a higher rank, you got nothing from the lower ranks. It was something we were hoping would be the case. So I didn't rank up. I decided I'm going to stay in Diamond. I'm going to get to Diamond 4 and then just go down to Platinum 4, and then I'll climb back up to Crystal next season. They today announced the Season 1 people are going to get all the rewards when 6.2 rolls around, and they're going to do that going forward. So now I'm fucked because there's no queues in the early part of the day, and I don't play too often in the later part of the day, so I'm going to have to make time to try to get to Crystal in the evening so I can be there every season. And then they also said they're changing titles every season. But I'm glad they're doing it for the future because, while yes, winning a gold medal doesn't normally net you a silver and a bronze in most competitions, the way Final Fantasy works, it kind of has to, or people are going to do what you just said. They're going to deliberately downrank in order to collect rewards. And I feel like it had a major impact on the queues this season as well. It's a huge impact. Although I think the series, people being done with the series also had an impact on that. I want to see more interesting seasonal rewards because a portrait and a border and a title is it's already stagnating as a reward structure. And it's been 1.5 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, they could do the same thing. They could make a whole nother new mount every single time and continue the conversation of PvP sucks because I can't get my rewards that I would want to get.
But we had this discussion on Saturday, and we came up with a solution to this together, and that the mount is for placing in any rank, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, crystal, but they have something about them that represents the rank that you ended in. So everybody can get the same mount, but if you have the crystal one, it's got, I don't know, maybe it has like banners on the shoulders or something with the crystal portrait, or, if you're number 1 also, same deal. It could have that on the side to let everyone know that you got the number 1 mount for that season. But that way everyone's competing, or, chocobo bardings even that represent your rank one season. Just switching things that are more representative than the portrait having the number 2 on it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think I also support old PvP rewards being accessible.
That's
an
opinion.
So I'm sorry, I want to alter that statement a little bit because I feel like I started too strong. What I meant is accessible, but in a dumbed down, boring version of the reward.
Oh yeah, that'll be a great way to describe it. Yeah, everyone, you're not worth the good ones. Just get the boring ones.
Yeah. You're not going to get. You weren't there. You weren't part of the cool 600 crew that got the mount when the season was happening. But you can still get it. The asset's there, and it should be used. It just doesn't look as cool.
It's like the Gubu, the 1.0 Gubu versus the A Realm Reborn Gubu. My 1.0 Gubu is clearly superior to the 2.0 Gubu.
One of the things that you could say about 1.0 being superior.
Yes. Up until 6.2's announcement, Request Repair would have been the other one, but that's fixed now. So
yeah. How does it feel, to say something and be like, man, this sucks, they really should do it, and then they do it?
That's what I like to call playing a game I like.
Catharsis.
Now, when Puppet Master comes out, I'll be fully vindicated. That'll be the next one.
Stop it.
When they
stop it.
Do more stuff with Chocobo Racing, gonna feel good. Gonna feel real good.
Sure.
Yeah.
They'll do flying maps for one day, right?
I feel like that was just a fever dream.
It was.
I can't find literally any documentation that was ever said anywhere about the flying Chocobo maps. But I know it was said. I just don't know where and when. I feel like it was at FanFest they said it, and it just didn't get recorded or something. I don't know.
Oh no, it's out there. I'm sure if I go through my 3,000 videos
Which
back a few
FanFest?
years, I can find something.
It was the Heavensward. It would be the Heavensward one because that's when flying was introduced, right? And so they were talking about doing flying Chocobo racing
I
match.
don't think it would have been that soon.
They just mention,
around that
but
time.
they just say things, like they mention ideas, like they're like, yeah, it's cool. We have flying now, maybe, we have a flying chocobo. Maybe like like Yoshi P just connects dots in the middle of the conversation to be like, well, that's a logical thing. See, he did the same thing with Blitzball. He's like, we can swim, so logically we should have Blitzball. And I was like, no, that's not what that means.
They were really thinking about it. They were trying to do it. They just couldn't come up with the solution and the implementation for Blitzball yet.
I know, and good. I hope they never figure it out.
Whatever, man. Whatever, dude. It'll come.
So what? So everyone can play it
day.
for 3 days and then abandon it again, like every other Gold Saucer mode? No.
Yeah, so what?
You say that, but people are still playing fucking Words of Verminion.
No, people do it weekly for the challenge log. That's not the same as playing it, Sly.
Is it though?
No, it is the same thing as
No,
playing
it's
it.
not.
You
Playing
are
implies
actively
no, they aren't actively
starting
doing
a
it.
game.
They're going into a PvE match that they can zerg in 1 minute 5 times, so they never have to play anything about it ever
PvE
again.
is playing. That's all playing, man. It is playing.
No, there's a difference between playing something and playing it.
Okay, I guess you could put two different
Alright.
tones on it. Sure, I can say
There's
there's a distinction there.
Nobody logs in and goes,
playing.
oh yeah, here we go. It's time. Let's go. Lords of Verminion, right. They're like, all right, let me fucking get this out of the way real quick. I don't want to fucking be here right now, but it only takes 5 minutes. I guess I'll do it.
And it's really, really good for your rewards. The rewards it gives you. It's insane. You should do the tournaments too if you don't.
Yeah, the tournaments are worth a lot. Even if you just play one match, like it's very, very quick.
At least in the first times that you win, you get like a ridiculous amount for your first victories, and it's so easy. It's so easy to do it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I went into a tournament match against another player, and they just sat in base and let me win the whole. They didn't want to. Do it. They didn't. They were just like, I was told to do this because it's the MGP event and it's worth more, but I'm not gonna fucking play this. That's not happening.
It was an April Fool's joke that really never left being a April Fool's joke. It just somehow got implemented at the same time.
Yeah, the April Fool's patch. That was 3.1 was the April Fool's patch. If only it was 4.1, then it would have been like April 1st.
Oh, that would have been good. Yeah. Anyways, PvP, man. What else are we doing with PvP? We're fixing front lines, right?
Yeah, right now the
happens
melees
point.
are nigh unkillable. It's like they're so strong right now because they wanted to get rid of. They admitted they were just doing some kind of like knee-jerk changes to make it playable, and it technically worked. But now it's almost impossible to kill some jobs in front lines. Make more adjustments coming. The big thing is in 6.2, they're going to be making adjustments that are only front lines related, like job related changes that only affect their performance in front lines versus how they'll operate inside Crystalline Conflict. So they're dividing balance between battlegrounds and competitive, so they don't screw one or the other, so. And then Rival Wings is returning, which we don't really know what the impact of that is. We don't know how significant any of the changes are, how much they've looked at what's been going on with front lines and made decisions about how limit breaks are going to interact with the robots and so on and so forth and yada yada.
Screw it. Just do it. Who cares?
Hey, that's what I used to say about PvP. Frosty, welcome.
Yeah. Doesn't matter anymore. Doesn't matter.
Wow.
It's like deja vu, but from somebody else.
Yeah. Man, we may get back full circle by the end of this expansion. We'll see where you're like, PvP sucks. I hate it. And then I'm like, PvP's great.
I don't think it will. I think even if I lose interest in playing it, I don't think I'm lost interest in what it is. Because they've made genuine strides, that long time strides, and the fact that we got the feedback turnaround, you may have waited 20 seasons to not get that, but the fact that they took it seriously to do it within a week of the season ending, it really sounds worse when I say 20 seasons out loud, doesn't it? Huh?
You can just go over the history of that, man, and like all the struggle the community has gone through for like changes that need to happen to the game and the game mode to make it better. I hope it's a lot better. I hope they just say, screw it, no, we're gonna listen to you, make changes. We're not gonna need a whole council of people to come together and create this official document, submit it over, and have you read it, acknowledge you read it, and then still do nothing.
I think it has staying power. I think it definitely has staying power. A while back, I remember saying like one solution for PvP would just be to have a complete, like, you know how we have our regular live letters and shit like that, and you know they go over, you know, PvE and like they go over a little bit over PvP, you know, and then some letters you'll get the fluff after really like all the good information. Maybe we just need like a PvP section just to like kind of go over shit, you know, just.
Do you know how many years I went through and they would be like, PvP stuff's coming, and that was the live letter. That was it for the PvP section.
Yeah. PvP stuff's coming. It's on the way.
PvP stuff, you know, yeah. Let's go on to the next topic. And that was so long.
Oh, God, I remember those times. Holy shit.
I'd sit there and I'd be with other people in the community. We're just sitting there waiting. All right. It's been so long. It's been like 2 live letters. Right, and they said they're going to start talking about it this live, or this is it. This all timed out really well, and we're all sitting there watching. We're like, all right, EVP slide.
Okay. Hell, next, our watch party.
We have a name, and that was the slide.
Watch party. It was like exactly that. Yeah, you were like, PvP's coming. Like, okay, but and you were like, where? Like when?
You're like,
and that was the slide. He's like, and then, yeah.
Hey,
but
maybe
then we got it, and it's good. It's good.
That's true. Got it. People are happy. The majority of people are happy. There's still stuff to work on, and we'll see if they work on it.
Stop it. I saw that. Stop it.
Saw it.
No, not you. Happy.
What happened?
You heard it.
Oh, yeah. You're right. It is good to be technically right.
Better than technically wrong.
Technically.
Definitely.
Well, that being said, I have good hopes. I do have good hopes for it. But I played Final Fantasy 14 for a decade, like almost, right? I didn't play 1.0, so I did get to skip that whole nonsense.
Good.
And so I'm hopeful, but I am not going to be really disappointed if things don't work out. That's just how it is.
I will be.
You will be?
Yeah, because I want it to have good PvP. I don't want it, Frosty. I never wanted it to have bad PvP. I
feel like you wanted it to be bad.
No, I wanted it to be good. They just refused to make it good. That was clearly the problem. They refused to make it good.
Okay. Well, let's one more thing I want to ask real quick. Is now that you've seen like high level matches and everything, we know that there's going to be an EU event coming up, and they're going to have some high level matches there. Do you feel good about the community wanting to watch it? Like, do you feel like a lot of people are going to show up and want to actually track and watch teams and follow and cheer for their favorite teams?
Wolves League went incredibly well in terms of viewership, and that's with a channel that did not already have a massive pre-established following.
Mm-hmm.
And so this will be on an official channel, and I think people won't ignore it. They won't go, oh, it's the PvP match. No, they're going to see that the 14 channel's live. They're going to wonder why. They're going to click it, and they're going to get a very entertaining set of PvP matches and insight and commentary.
All right.
Honestly, even the feast, even though I didn't like the feast, I still always enjoyed the competitive matches. I always sat and watched the matches at the Fan Fest.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I wasn't there for you. Don't thank me. Okay, I'm lying. I actually only sat in the crowd because I was like, I should be here for Frosty.
Oh, sweet of you.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, like, I do want to ask you, what are the exciting things? What are the things that you think people should be hyped up when they're watching a match? Is it really still deaths? Oh, people are dead. Limit breaks are up. What's the things that we're shoutcasting?
It is limit breaks up and map objectives, map variants like Volcanic Heart and Cloud9's things coming up and how the play around it is. There's, in my opinion, nothing better than when you can track the limit breaks, envision in your head how the team is supposed to use that to win, and you see it happen exactly as you intend. When you see the Monk limit break up and then you see the bar disappear and you look over on the other side and the health bar plummets, you know. you know.
That's a serotonin boost.
Yeah. That's a big one. When you see the Dragoon LB and then their health bar goes gray, and then you see the crash down from sky high, and they win because it's a good limit break.
Three people just go to complete zero. Serotonin boost.
Yeah.
Okay.
The limit breaks are definitely the serotonin boost that you're looking for. And I think that's the thing that will excite people most, because that's where the biggest plays happen. I will say, though, the first 60 seconds are probably the best parts of the first 60 seconds and the last 60 seconds. Sometimes that's the whole match, because a match just completely goes and it's 2 minutes long. But most of the time it's a team coming out the gate strong and pushing right at the beginning to a drawn out game that goes to overtime. And that last 60 seconds before overtime is where you're like, the game can be made or broken here.
Yep.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of positive things. And also look for job counterplays. Again, the Paladin Dragoon thing became very, very prevalent as a counter, with Dragoon being a counterplay to Paladin. So curious to see if we'll see that happen consistently throughout the official tournament and through the Wolves League, which is also returning very shortly.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. I'll keep that stuff in mind. It's interesting to see. I did watch, again, some of those matches and everything to try to understand exactly what people are looking for, what really because this stuff that I want to get into, right, is commentary again for PvP. And I want it to be at a point to where you're saying something and you're getting someone excited, even if they've never played Final Fantasy 14. And I think that's the end goal and what you want to do for a really strong PvP for an MMO, is you want it to be an advertisement.
Yeah. For chat, how's Dragoon counter Paladin? They have a lot of two-hitting target abilities, and so when the cover goes out, you can blow them. Your limit break almost guaranteed insta-kills a Paladin if they're not in Phalanx. But not to mention Wormwind Thrust and Jirskogel, Nastrond, all that stuff pretty much can obliterate a Paladin if they're covering somebody else. Yeah, and you manage to hit both of them. So
we're basically arranged.
Pretty much, and you're really good at it, too. Good job.
I mean, Dragoon was arranged in Feast 2. Yeah. They always stayed really far back and just kept swinging Piercing Talon the entire time, and that was literally like most Dragoons.
Yeah. See?
All right.
They're used to this, Sly. Why can't you? Why can't you be?
Okay.
And that's the answer. All right, well, we're at just about the 2-hour mark, a little bit over, so I think now is a good time to start winding down. Before we start doing our outros, Frosty, this isn't your outro, just if there's any last comments you want to make about PvP before we sign off, then the floor is yours. You're our guest.
Okay.
Or even just about you. Yeah, it could be about you. I don't care.
I mean, that would sound kind of like an outro,
yeah, too. I guess kind of, but you know. You don't listen to me anyway throughout the show, so I figure I'll just put it out there anyway.
It's usually the best course of action is just to ignore what you're saying.
True.
But anyways, I do want to say that I am excited for this mode. I'm excited to see it grow and develop and everything. I do not think it's at its peak in where it can actually go. I feel like there's still a lot of stuff to figure out. And I'm saying this as not a person who is a top end-game PvP super master of the current mode right now, but as just seeing it from a outside perspective, it looks like there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be worked out and developed in meta and just how you're playing in these matches. And I want to see how that evolves. I want to see where Square Enix officially takes this mode, if they're going to keep on it. I don't think that this is going to turn out to be the same thing as Feast. I said I wouldn't be disappointed, but I would be kind of disappointed if this did turn out to have the same community opinion on it as Feast had. I do want them to support it as much as they can. I'd like to see official PvP reps from Square Enix where they could come out and talk, and you could be like, this guy is our PvP guy. This is our person that we can talk to and will talk to us. I want that for every single aspect of the game with rating and everything else, but I feel like PvP could really use it moving forward. Clem kind of does that, I think, to a point right now because he does. I was just going to
say the exact same thing. I think Clem is that person at the moment.
He may, but he's not a developer, right? And so I kind of want a PvP developer that kind of comes out and is a spokesman for PvP as well. Clem is amazing, by the way. I love Clem. He's one of my favorite people on the Square Enix team. I am so glad that he's around doing what he's doing because Square Enix is definitely benefiting from how amazing he is with working with the community. But that being said, yeah, PvP looking good. I feel like hopefully the really competitive side starts to get worked out, and that we start to see some people getting super serious about it. But yeah, that's it.
Coolio. Well, on that note, I think it's time that we wrap this show up. First, let me thank our sponsors, and then we can all do our outros, go into a short post show, and then I need pizza. So, you mentioned it. It's just once the pizza party came up. It's been on my mind since. I haven't listened to you since you said pizza. I'm not going to lie.
Sorry.
That's fine. You did a good thing for me, as far as I'm concerned. So, thank you to our sponsors for State of the Realm, as per usual. Of course, we have Steelseries, who, again, we have a giveaway. If you go to the YouTube videos, there should be a link in the description for the July giveaway. Thank you to Steelseries for that. And, of course, for the discount code, 12%. If you have any questions about the products, always feel free to ask me. But they've sponsored the show for quite some time, and they support the sponsor, support the show. Our patrons over on Patreon for supporting, they don't have to. We post everything for free. We don't give them any sort of particular benefits because we want everyone to be able to enjoy the content, but they do it anyway. So we love them, of course. As Sly always likes to, very explicit, he looks in the camera and says, "We love you." Except that I think he disconnected, so he's not going to do that right now.
He does look disconnected.
Yeah, except I'm pretty sure that Sly's. Oh yeah, Thor got me. Yeah, he said it in the chat. So there we. Oh hey wait no. I'm here. No.
Oh, the camera's all messed up now?
Here. I wonder if the 2-scene one is working. You'll be Sly in that case. Let's see. No, that one's not. Okay, let's see. Well, I can make it work. Hold on. Yeah. So so Sly disconnected, but I'm here. I could totally just fix this in like 2 seconds, but the comedic power is quite
it's too great.
Yeah, because then what if he comes back? He said Thor got him, so I don't think he'll be back anyway. So I'll have to do his outro for him. There we go. Look at that. Frosty, you are also just half. There you go.
I'm trying to figure this out.
I got it. I figured it out. And then we're both kind of Sly here. So I'm just going to turn that one off.
I wish I could be Sly.
Oh, he's back. Never mind. Now I got to unfix it. Okay. Well, he'll be back shortly at the very least.
Okay.
Now I got to figure out what this looks. Hold on. This is part of the show now. This is it. This is here. So now I'm trying to predict where he's going to be. Oh wait, no. I had that right. Damn it. I just need to do this. There we go. Here we go. Got it. Okay. That's perfect. Awesome. Okay, there we go. That should be mostly right. Okay. And then he'll be back soon. And then Frosty, yours is going to get screwed up. Which way do I have to go? Here we go. Okay, I got it. Here we go. See? It was almost perfect. I was pretty close to fixing it exactly the way it was supposed to look.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. You got back on quick.
Oh,
I heard. Yeah, it says connecting in the back for your
for my thing. Yeah,
that's fitting. Yeah, I saw you kept doing this, and I was like, is he listening for thunderstorms? I was wondering that during the show. Okay.
I mean, you have a really solid still face, and so it's hard to know.
Yeah, we couldn't tell until. That was impressive. Finishing off the sponsor shout out, this particular State of the Realm and the next several will also have an additional sponsor. I got word that a certain sponsorship was fixed because we ran into a technical issue with it a couple days ago. But this show is also sponsored by, I got the message last 2 hours. That's why it wasn't at the start of the show. Also sponsored by HelloFresh, who I've done sponsorships with them before, and I've been using them for a couple of years. If you type !HelloFresh in the chat, it should have the updated link, the updated code, everything there, unless it's not working, in which case I will fix it, because I was told it was fixed, but it might, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Try it. There you go. There you go. Yeah, POG SE 1227.2. There you go. That's for 16 free meals across 7 boxes. I'll include a link to that with the discount code in the YouTube section. Get ingredient. I'm trying to throw this together real quick since I just got it. They'll send specific ingredients to your home so they can cook specific meals. It helps you learn how to cook, and it's delicious. Trust me, because like I said, I've been doing it for like 2 years now. So having them sponsor is nice since I've actually used it for a great deal of time. And the gifts are good too. Hope you get the mac and cheese. Get the mac and cheese. If they send it to you, please do it. It's so good. Okay. But thank you to them, and any sign up supports the stream, supports everything. On that note, now that Sly's back, we can do our outros. Should Sly go first before he disconnects? And even though you're the guest,
no.
Fine. All right, fine. Frosty,
let Frosty go.
Sure, yeah. Thank you guys again for letting me come on your show. I know it's always a low point in State of the Realm when I come on, and I appreciate you giving me the chance to come on and talk to some people I don't normally talk to, of course. The chat, they don't watch my show. They watch your show.
Pretty sure they watch both of our shows.
There might be a little bit of crossover. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. That being said, it is nice to come back and have these conversations, because these are definitely highlights to my week, to my day, to my month. Just being able to sit back and forget about everything and just talk about Final Fantasy XIV. That's been such a big part of my life. I do want to also say thank you so much to my wife, Kerr, who puts up with me doing things like this and like putting some time just to relax and do what I want to do. It's awesome to have it's awesome to have a good relationship. Having a healthy relationship feels really great, guys. But also thank you to my baby for being a life-changing for me. Has opened up a whole different world. It's literally a whole nother chapter in my life. And even if I have to give up like everything for her, I would absolutely do it. Because she... Is that thunder?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear Thor. Yeah.
But no, it's been absolute blast going through it. Of course, lots of frustration, lots of exhaustion, lots of everything else. But it's all worth it in the end. And I'm looking forward to having her be a big part of my life throughout the next 2 decades. So, and after that, she'll probably never talk to me again.
I was going to say, and then it's over. Then she's out of your life.
Done.
Yeah,
she's probably done. Yeah. But yeah, no, and thank you to the community for being so welcoming, letting me come back and not treating me like some kind of crazy, horrible person. So that means a lot. I was expecting everybody to kind of forget about me and be like, oh, who's that dude? But
who are you again?
I guess.
How'd you get on this show?
I don't know. I ask that every single time, and like it just happens. It just happens sometimes. And I shout out to the PvP community who's hanging in there. I'm looking forward to being able to interact with them all again, and the raiding community. I can say that we have a MogTalk happening tomorrow, by the way, 2 p.m. Pacific. We are actually bringing on members from Neverland to discuss the World Race, because we usually have a World Race show after it ends. Unfortunately, the timing just did not work out in any shape or regard. But finally, we're going to try to remedy that a little bit and just get their thoughts on how the race went, kind of what they're doing now, and what the future looks like on the next race coming up with Savage. So that's going to be a lot of different fun, a lot of fun. And we also have a couple other shows coming up. We're going to have our own PvP show at some point too.
We're gonna have a lot of overlap on the next few shows, I have a feeling, because we're doing the same kind of like catch up and prep for the next patch. So
yeah. And we are going to have another story show too. And after this month, as long as everything goes through, holds together, then we can keep this going and have MogTalk be a little bit more I don't know, just back.
Existing.
Existing, yeah. And I might be doing some streaming as well. The channel has been changed to MogTalk because I do put all credit to any success my channel has ever had to that podcast, MogTalk. Without that, no one cares about Frosty. They care about MogTalk. So I feel like that was the appropriate name. And so you might see some just regular streams, a stream every once in a while that I'll pop on and do maybe PvP.
Don't forget your ads.
That's it. Oh, what ads do I have?
No, I mean when you stream.
Oh, yeah, and the ads. Yeah, the ads help out a lot because they buy diapers. So they're great. Diapers are so expensive, guys. Oy.
My side tangent. My mother tried to have me on January 1st because they give you basically years worth of diapers if you're the first baby born in the new year. Yeah. And she couldn't hold out. I was 11 pounds. That wasn't going to happen. She's like, no, fuck that. Get them out. We're done.
Giving birth is one of the worst things anyone will ever go through in their entire life. And we are lucky to not ever have to go through that. So shout outs to literally every single person who has given birth because I don't even know how. I don't know how.
No, I have a big poop and my day is ruined. That's a whole different...
Yeah, man, Christ. But yeah, anyways, great to end that on. Again, thank you everybody for being so supportive and amazing, and especially thanks to Happy and Sly for over so many years still being such a great friend. It doesn't even matter at any point, even if we don't talk for months, we can just pop up and talk and it's been no time at all, and it feels good to have people out there like that.
Yeah, I did extend that hand to you, but both of us we're always so busy. It's that's what happens in this industry, though. You're yeah, you can talk to me anytime. I know, but
I have to sleep.
Yeah. No, we love you, Frosty.
Thank you.
Sly, where can people find you? What are you doing?
All right, let me make this quick before Chris Hemsworth takes me out again. You can find me at twitch.tv/Sly, aka Gray Fox. You can find me on Twitter at SlyTheFox. Just been doing a lot of hunting, trying to get to MR 100 before I start anything else. So that, starting the Soul Hackers 1 replay before Soul Hackers 2 comes out next month. Of course, gonna do another kind of murder mystery next week called Urakill after I get to MR 100. And of course, we got LunarCon on the way at the end of the month. I'll be doing a set there, and then of course, First Saturday will be our 3rd year anniversary of First Saturday on August 6th. So definitely come to that too. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You good, Chris?
Chris! Sorry.
I cut out.
It could have been Natalie Portman, too. I don't know.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right. Happy.
Yeah, I guess
what
it's
are
my
you
turn.
up to? What you doing?
I'm so busy, Sly. So, you can find me, Mr. Happy 1227 at all important places, not the unimportant places, thankfully. I have a lot of things that I can't tell you about yet, but the things I can tell you about are as follows. Final Fantasy Count-Up is underway. It is currently only on weekends. We are playing up through the entire franchise of the numbered games and likely going to be doing the offshoots as well after various goals and whatnot are set and met and et cetera, et cetera. Last weekend we played through Final Fantasy 1 and also did a 4 White Mage playthrough of Final Fantasy 1, and who knows if we'll revisit the other jobs sometime in the future. But that is going to be a marathon over the next year, and all VODs of that will be uploaded to my new VOD channel where playthroughs of games are going to be uploaded consistently. I'm even going through some old playthroughs of some old games and posting those, but largely non-Final Fantasy 14 content VODs going onto the VOD channel for future watching, as opposed to flooding my main one with that. So you can type !VOD in the chat on Twitch, or if you just, bit my tongue, check the YouTube video. Listen, I talk fast. It happens from time to time. Or in the YouTube video, I'll include a link to that as well. So if you subscribe to the VOD channel, if you just need some noise in the background, be sure to check that out and support it. On top of that, Strangers of Paradise DLC is on the 20th of July. We just got it detailed today with a bunch of bonus missions and a new difficulty. It was a lot more than I expected from the DLC, in all honesty. Live Alive is a couple days later on the 22nd. Crystalline Conflict has the EU tournament on the 21st and the 22nd, which is co-streamable. So we may do some co-streaming of that at the very least on the 21st. On top of that, Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent is also, I believe, out on the 22nd or the 23rd, and that is something I've been looking forward to since it came out in Japan. Then we have Xenoblade Chronicles 3 at the end of the month, and then throughout August, there's the DioField Chronicles demo that's going to be releasing. We're going to have patch 6.2 either on the 23rd or the 30th. They said late August, so it's got to be one of those two. Then September is going to be packed as well with Valkyrie Elysium and DioField Chronicles official release. And October has Star Ocean, and then there's God of War, and then there's Harvestella, and then there's Pokemon. And there's a lot of shit going on, all right? We got a lot of shit going on. And so we got a lot of shit to do, okay? Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're doing shit. And in Monster Hunter also, it's free title updates all throughout. We got, Lucent Narg and Seething Bezel in August? Plus some other things, I think, as well. Some other, variants.
Just the arena.
Yeah.
And the arena and, a few other variants.
Yeah.
They might slip in something like they did Basil last time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we got a lot of shit to do. And I'm like MR 115, I think. I'm going ham.
Yeah.
Little ham sandwich. Okay. But with that, we're going to move on into a short post show. And then I have raid in an hour and a half, so I got to go get food. So thank you, everyone, for joining. Frosty, again, thank you for having us. And next week will be a lore catch-up show with one Pyro and potentially a second guest. I won't tell you who yet, but Pyro will be joining us for a lore show next week. And I know there's a lore MogTalk probably sometime in the future, if I had to guess.
It might have people who are similar coming on the show. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I don't know if it's the exact same people. It could be. But it's okay. It's good. It's okay. It's all right. It's a thing we gotta close out on MogTalk. It's something we gotta finish up.
And make sure you go watch MogTalk tomorrow, everyone.
Yeah.
Go watch.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Stay frosty.
Stay frosty.
Okay, you can be done. They can't see you.
Oh, okay.